Next door neighbors get set to lock horns as Nebraska takes on Iowa State next. We welcome you to Ames, Iowa. It is a crisp fall afternoon. The sun has come out, and we are set for the opening kickoff between Nebraska and Iowa State in the 103rd meeting between these two teams. Hello again, everybody. Along with Glenn Parker, I'm Ron Thulin. I think it is safe to say that both teams are at a crossroads as far as their season is concerned. Now, Glenn, let's talk about Nebraska. They had a crushing defeat to number 7 Texas Tech last week, but what we did see was Joe Gans, their quarterback, playing at an extremely high level.
Well, the reason Joe Gans is playing at that level is I feel that he owns the offense now. It's his. You don't have to have a quarterback feel comfortable. He has to feel as if it's his offense and he's the leader, and that's what you're seeing right now to Joe Gans. Whether it's QB movement and he can get out and he can make one read and find his receiver, or whether it's establishing a running game. What you don't want is you don't want your quarterback to feel like he has to make every play, and that's exactly what happened in overtime against Texas Tech. A bad decision cost him the game. Joe Gans, you look at the numbers, he had a great game against Texas Tech, but all for naught with that last play. So you limit your mistakes, and you have to have a controlled passing game. That's where the triple threat, Todd Peterson, Menelik Holt, and Nate Swift come in. Good receivers. You hope that they can then challenge down the field if you can get your running game going and the controlled passing game going.
Well, Nebraska actually had more yards than Texas Tech last week. Now, on the other side of the football, a couple of weeks ago, Glenn, we were here and watched the Cyclones take a 20-0 halftime lead over Kansas, and that's a great case in point because we saw them get their quarterback, Austin Arnott, in a comfortable situation.
Well, when you talk about Austin Arnott and you talk about comfort, that's what it really comes down to. So many games have been a tale of two halves for him. Horrible in the first, great in the second, or vice versa. They need to have him make quick, decisive throws. If they can get him on rhythm throwing the ball right away, that will help them establish some sort of running game. And so you talk about QB comfort, it really starts with him being decisive and quick and then getting to the running game. And if they have Alexander Robinson, Jason Scales, or J.J. Bass, any one of these guys, if they get them running and get them to where they can eat clock and put more pressure on that Nebraska defense, then you look for Austin Arnott to have that day that he's capable of having.
Now, both teams are looking for their first conference win, and Iowa State looking for their first win in October since beating Texas A&M in 2005. We'll step aside, then we'll sell it to College Football Central on Versus to keep us updated on scores and highlights. All right, thank you, Ted. Look forward to checking in with you throughout the game. We welcome you back inside of Jack Trice Stadium, where Iowa State has beaten Nebraska 2 of the last 3 times here in Ames. Now let's check out the Under Armour Click Clock Cam. Well, that's the kind of fog we had earlier this morning, and that too has cleared. We talked about Nebraska in the open, about that game against Texas Tech last week. With more on that and their attitude, the third member of our team, here's Lindsay Soto. Lindsay.
Well, Ron, if you ask Bo Pelini, he will tell you emphatically that there is no such thing as a moral victory at Nebraska. But he will also tell you that he thinks his team took several steps forward in last week's loss to Texas Tech. And not just because they took the 7th-ranked team in the nation to overtime, but more importantly because of the way that they did it. Down by 7 with a minute to go, they had to engineer a 79-yard drive that required both the confidence that they've been lacking in recent years and also the execution that Pelini has been pleading for out of this team in recent weeks. Another thing he was very happy with was the way that the team responded to the loss this week in practice. Says they are now self-motivating. They no longer have to be prodded the same way that they were by the coaches to practice hard when he first arrived. Of course, Ron, as we all know, this kind of progress is fragile. In order to continue this momentum, they need to win today. They will determine in these next few hours whether last week's loss is a turning point for the program or just a loss.
All right, Lindsay, we'll be checking back with you throughout the game. There's Gene Chizik in his second season, had an outstanding first half against Kansas a couple of weeks ago. In fact, he told his team yesterday, we need to have 2 halves like the first half versus Kansas today. Iowa State won the toss. They have deferred. This is Niles Paul. He had an 85-yarder against San Jose State, but nothing going on there. He is stopped inside the 20-yard line by Cameron Bell, who will also be getting the start at the linebacker spot. And Nebraska will take over on offense. They controlled the clock over 40 minutes versus Texas Tech last week. Joe Gans not forcing things at times. He's playing at a high level, but his mobility presents problems for this Iowa State defense. Marlon Lucky will join Joe Gans in the backfield. And Lucky tries the left side, nothing doing, maybe got a half a yard. Cameron Bell secures his first tackle of the afternoon. And the offensive line right side is huge, and they're very good with Slauson and Murphy. We need to keep an eye on them. The skill position people, they've really developed solid wide receivers. In fact, they've answered a lot of questions, especially with Swift and Peterson. Marlon Lucky, good all-around game versus Texas Tech. These guys are explosive. Picked up about a half a yard on that first down play. Second down and 9. Kansas first throw out on the flat, complete. Looks for a block. They get it. Swift has the first down, nears the 40-yard line. James Smith brought him down, but I think, Glenn, what we saw there was great blocking by the wide receiver.
Well, what you saw was Drew Young come out and get the big hit. This is a little stop route. He comes back. Now watch the tight end. Drew Young, 49. There he is. Bam. Nice knockdown block. That spurs him. That's a trap play run through the screen rather than off the backfield.
Now, Drew Young had 7 knockdown blocks versus Western Michigan. Tight ends coach Ron Brown has preached that to these guys, and they've caught on. Pickup of 18, and Gans will run the option. Picks up a couple on the play. Let's take a look at the Iowa State defense. Number 1 in the conference in turnover margin. The line of Parker, Tate, Freer, and Taylor. They need to step up today. The linebacker spot, we've already called his name a couple of times. Cameron Bell will get the start. Michael Bibbs is still dinged up a little bit. The secondary, this is going to be interesting if you're an Iowa State fan, because they've got 2 true freshmen starting at cornerback with Benton and Johnson. Iowa State thinking that Nebraska is going to want to go deep on him. Quentin Castile now goes in motion after he's checked into the lineup. Empty backfield. Gans, 3-step drop. Pass tipped. Incomplete. Getting a piece of it was Nate Freer, the junior out of right here in Iowa.
You take a look there, Nate Freer, number 62. Not a tall guy, but what happens? What do you teach all defensive linemen to do? You don't get pressure, you put your hands up. Draw a picket fence for that ball to get through. Great job by a short, squatty body putting his hand up.
3rd down and 8. Opening series of the ball game for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They're riding a 3-game losing streak. They've lost 5 straight road games since beating Wake Forest last season. 5 on the line for Iowa State. Now they back off and they rush 5 again. Gans, plenty of time over the middle, wide open. Pass is caught. Niles Paul fumbles the football. And the officials say that Nebraska retains possession. That's Niles Paul, 9th catch of the season. It looks like Mike McNeil came up with a fumble.
Yeah, people, what they do is they just find a window in the zone. You look, he'll throw right down the seam here into that window behind the official. Ball pops out. Iowa State fans might say, boy, we didn't get lucky there. No, what you had was McNeil being a football player, being where he's supposed to be at the right time, and that's why he's there to get that fumble.
That picked up 21. That's an 18-yard pass completion in 21 here in the opening quarter. On the toss, nothing doing for Castile. The sophomore out of LaPorte, Texas, Jesse Smith coming up from that middle linebacker spot. We're going to be calling Smith a lot today. He is the most active defensive player for this Cyclone team.
You know, he's a guy that jumped right off the film at us, Ron. You know, maybe not the best athlete on the field, but understands football. He's got that IQ you like out of your middle backer, and he was very, very active.
Well, you know, we saw the ball on the ground, and that's one thing that Iowa State has to do. They've got to get turnovers to have a chance to win this football game. Number 1 in the conference in turnover margin. Gans fakes to Castile, pressure, throws, pass caught. Is that incomplete or a fumble? The officials are saying it was a complete pass and a fumble. Swift dropped it, hit by Leonard Johnson, the true freshman out of Clearwater, Florida. And that's going to be a loss of about 6 or 7 on the play.
And there's a play where your quarterback, Gans, needs to understand that this isn't a great pass to make. It's a rollout. His number 1 target's not there. throw that ball. Get rid of it out. I realize that he's got the guy, but there's nothing to be gained. Throw it out of bounds. You're outside the tackle pocket. Get rid of it. It's about decisions for Joe Gans.
Absolutely. We saw the pressure put on by Travis Ferguson, but also the fact that the true freshman Leonard Johnson can lower the boom. 3rd down and 21 now for the Huskers. No pressure for Gans. Now he gets hit from behind. Ball is loose. And Iowa State, I think, has got the football, and they do at the 49-yard line of Nebraska. Christopher Lyle, the junior out of Waldorf, Maryland, is the one who forced it. Stephen Rumpelhammer out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, came up with a loose ball.
Well, that's just motor. Lyle is taking off the outside rush, running around the hoop. He gets beat. What's he do? As the quarterback steps up, he keeps his motor running, comes back under, gets a good hit, and then it's football after that. Get to it.
18th turnover forced by this Iowa State defense this year. We get our first look at Austin Arnott, and officials are going to call a hold on. There were still 8 on the play clock.
On the field was a fumble and not a pass. The play is being reviewed.
Okay.
Well, what they'll look at is to see whether the arm was coming forward. He pumped once and then he tucked. In the NFL, that's a tuck rule. Wouldn't be ruled a fumble, but college a little different, Ron.
Absolutely. Joe Gans will wait for the decision. Scoreless in the first from Ames. Well, Joe Gans sitting there talking to the offensive coaches, wanting to find out what the replay says. Here's how it looked.
There's the pump. Ball's coming back when he gets hit again. That's a fumble.
And the
I think it is.
Yes, well, the officials agree with you because they looked at the replay and confirmed the call on the field. So Joe Gans coughs it up. The 5th fumble lost this year, and 3 fumbles you saw in that opening drive alone, but they only lost 1 of them.
Iowa State coming out hitting hard. Doesn't matter that they only lost 1. So much of that's confidence.
That's right. R.J. Sumrall, left side, runs into his own man. Gets in the 45-yard line. That'll be a pickup of about 5 on the play. This Iowa State offense, Austin Arnott from Ames, Iowa, getting comfortable is the key to him. Talking to him yesterday, he likes the fact that this is now his team. Philip Bates, of course, decided to leave the team last Thursday. But that's a lot of pressure on this young man to know that there's nobody behind him, really.
Yeah, and it's pressure across the board. All of your offense now feels it. They have one guy that they have to protect and make him feel, as we talked about, comfortable in that backfield.
What they do is they get the play, and right before it's snapped, Austin Arnott or some of the players check over to the sideline to make sure that's the play they want to run. The run game yields very little. Now let's take a look at this offensive line for Iowa State, and only Alex Alvarez at center is starting at the same position he started last week. We'll talk about that in a second. R.J. Sumrall in the skill position. In 3 career games versus Nebraska, he's been able to grab 14 passes for over 200 yards. Now, a lot of switching. 4 players have switched positions on the offensive line. As a former lineman, not good, is it?
Well, you know what? It's sometimes too much is made, but then what you really have to look for is when the defensive line starts moving, it's that little bit of communication about where you're expecting your guy to be. And that's where it can get to you.
Well, on 3rd and 4, an outstanding defensive play by Nebraska's Armando Murillo. Pass was intended for Houston Jones. Quickly looking at the defense that was just on the field. The line playing well. Allen Sue, Steinkuhler, and Potter, the linebackers, have been injured. They've been battling a lot of injury. Cody Glenn is playing today. Defensive back's been a revolving door with injuries, but Asante is playing better. And now Nate Swift is set to get the kick as Iowa State failed to convert on 3rd down. And this will hit inside the 10-yard line, and Iowa State will down it at the 3. 41 yards on the kick. Great coverage by the special teams. And Jay Boulware was telling us yesterday one of the things he wanted with what he calls sky punts. That was one of them. Coming up later at 6:30 Eastern Time, it's Pac-10 Primetime Showdown as Jaquiz Rogers and the Oregon State Beavers travel to Seattle to take on the Washington Huskies versus college football tonight. It's wild out here. Oregon State, of course, 3-3 on the year, but they haven't won a road game yet. Mike Riley has done an outstanding job with that team.
Well, a lot of piecemeal on that team, but Jaquiz Rogers, the running back, James Rogers, the wide receiver, brothers, they really are a spark for that team, and they're really learning that They're on the job for that.
Well, the official spotted the ball instead at the 7, said it was touched. The run game, not a whole lot going on. Curtis Taylor made the first hit, pushed back. Curtis Taylor, the senior out of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Here's a young man that made his mark on special teams. And last year he had an outstanding year. He was number 2 in the Big 12 in sacks with 6.5. And lately he's really come on. That's the kind of guy they have to have that penetration, which we just saw.
Yeah, they need their defensive line to really step up. You've got a huge offensive line for Nebraska, and you've got to find a way to beat them with speed and quickness because you're not going to overpower them. So that's what we've got to see. Now, we're already seeing how important turnovers are. Not so much points as field position right now.
On the handoff, they'll try the right side up over the 15 to the 18-yard line, which is close to the first down. It's Marlon Lucky. One of the things we talked about at the beginning is getting Joe Gans in rhythm, and that was so essential at the beginning of the year. We saw that especially last week. I'm not so sure he's in rhythm yet.
No, it looked good to start, but then all of a sudden, right after that, you had fumble, and then another fumble, and then a movement play where he gets hit. It's all of a sudden he was knocked out of rhythm, and that's what Iowa State has to do is continue to, even if he seems to get it, find a way to get him off his mark.
Well, it's 3rd down and short. They'll go from the I formation with a fullback. And Gans just tucks it, and he will get the first down as he gets up to about the 19-yard line. You know, people don't realize Joe Gans is 6'1", 210 pounds. He puts the team on his back, but he is an extremely strong runner. We saw that earlier in the first 3 games of the year. I don't think he's given credit for his ability to run the football.
No, I think you're right, because when you play the spread, what so often comes to mind is a little quick roll and a throw, and you don't realize really his vision when it comes to running and his leg strength when he's running through tackles.
Now he'll go from the shotgun. Plenty of time to snap. Here comes Iowa State on the blitz, and Gans reads it perfectly. Complete to Mike McNeil, the tight end, up over the 35-yard line. Another first down for the Huskers. McNeil, the sophomore out of Kirkwood, Missouri, a pickup of 17 on the play.
Well, they brought 2 strong there on defense. That's your tight end side. So coming from the left side of the quarterback, there's 2 coming strong. That leaves a void. All McNeil, the tight end, does, spots 2 coming, takes off into the void. It's an easy throw, easy recognition for your quarterback.
Well, Joe Gans already 4-5 for 48 yards. 3 pass completions already in double figures today.
He's completing, what, 69% of his passes on the year, so he's pretty darn efficient.
Little play action, wide open in the flat. Another first down into Iowa State territory. Down to the 42-yard line is Nate Swift. Swift with his 3rd catch of the afternoon. He's got 28 on the day, and this one covers 21 yards.
Oh yeah, you've got the little route out of the backfield by the back that sucked up one of the safeties, and there's Swift sitting there underneath the corner. And here's a good look on the ISO. Just a little crossing route there with that wheel route underneath by your fullback. Opened up a big stretch of grass there for Nate Swift to get open in.
And another first down for the Huskers. That's their 5th of the ball game already. Iowa State yet to get a first down. Inside of 7 minutes in the first quarter. Little razzle and dazzle. Swift gets a block from the outside, gets inside the 40 down to about the 35-yard line.
Well, they got a block from the outside, and there's Joe Gans trying to make a nice cut, trying to get him some more yardage. And watch the quarterback, Joe Gans, hand off. Now he's out in front. There he goes against Big Ferguson, gets the cut, doesn't get it down. If he gets him down, they might have the first down here. But I'll tell you what, you got to like your quarterback throwing himself down. That's a guy who wants this to be his offense.
You got that right. That's Swift's 2nd rush of the year. That one covered 7 yards. First one was 16. But it brings up a 2nd and short. Iowa State starts to bring 5. Not a big rush. Wide open down the middle. Swift, but the pass is batted away. No flag called, and you were pointing at something immediately.
There was a window to throw in, and Joe Gans was about a half a second late on seeing the window and making the throw. The ball's there. You've got your tight end. If you look, you're going to see your tight end. And after that pump, see how he waits that extra hop step? That extra hop step is where the window closes, where your corner's able to get over and your safety's able to get over. It was there, but it was there very short, and he had to see it right away.
Sets up a 3rd down situation in 3. They're 2 of 3 this afternoon. Rolling away from the pressure. Has the first down. Inside the 15, inside the 20-yard line. Again, it is Nate Swift with Devin McDowell holding down to him.
Sean Watson, the offensive coordinator, does a great job of designing the play. Roll out. You've got Nate Swift on a simple out. It's too hard for the man coming across the formation to cover him, and then he's got to make a great tackle just to stop him from getting 10, 12, 13 yards.
Another first down for the Huskers. 6 already in this opening quarter. They already have cracked the century mark as far as yardage. First down and 10. They spot it at the 19. Diaz, here comes the pressure. Steps away. Pass. Dumps it off. Complete. Big hit at the 5. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Nate Swift.
Too many defenders for Iowa State looking to make a big hit rather than wrap up and tackle. And it happens with youth. And we know there's a lot of young guys in that secondary. You've got to wrap up and tackle and save the play. Don't try to make the day. You take a look here. He turns his shoulders, gets the man up. Then he makes the throw. He's got a lot of room down there. And then, hey, you've got to credit Swift bouncing off tackles and driving those legs.
Swift 5 receptions already as the extra point is good this afternoon. He is now 10 away from tying Johnny Rogers' record of 143 all-time receptions. We'll take a break. Nebraska strikes first. They lead it 7-0. Last week versus Texas Tech, Nebraska didn't score in the first quarter. That was the first time since 9 games ago against Texas last season, but now they score courtesy of Nate Swift. And the scoring drive, 9 plays, 92 yards. Once again, they're very effective offensively. This is Leonard Johnson. Gets up over the close to the 20-yard line before he's knocked down. Let's take a look at that touchdown again, how he got so wide open.
Well, take a look at Nate Swift right here in the formation. But what you're going to see is he's going to run nice little, he's going to bend it up and into a post. And with QB movement, when he frees himself there is a lot of green there. A lot of green for him to throw. And then it's just tackling. He's driving his legs, and too many guys for Iowa State trying to hit a shoulder, knock him down, pop the ball loose. How about just tackling? Wrap around, tackling.
I know it's early in the game, but I think this is an important offensive series for the Cyclones because their 3 plays they had, it was almost like going through the motions to start the game off.
Yeah, I agree with you. I liked their first play, and their second and third plays seemed to be just by, you know, as you said, by rote. This is what we run right now. Instead of saying, how do we go about attacking this defense?
Well, pickup of 6 by R.J. Summerall with his second reception already. They only had 257 yards versus Baylor last week. Gene Chizik telling us yesterday it was just bad football all around. Felt his guys just didn't come prepared, and he took some of the blame for it. Second down and short, which is a good situation you want to be in against this strong Nebraska defensive line, and getting up to the 30, which will be about 2 yards short, is Alexander Robinson, the sophomore out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, he does a nice job. He actually read that right, and he got into the right spot. He's just got to drive his legs and keep that push going and try to fall forward rather than sideways or backwards.
And it's third down and about 2. Jason Scales now at the tailback spot, a senior out of Des Moines, Iowa. And Scales will get it straight ahead running. Gets up to about the 32.5, and he should have the first down as Cody Glenn with his first tackle of the day. Let's take a look at the Craftsman tools for success for today.
Well, you know, what I really believe them to be, first off, you got to establish the run. Both teams need to do that in order to make their quarterback feel comfortable, and that's that next step. And then once you got those 2 things on, you can take your shots down the field, and that's what we saw on film. The team that gets their quarterback comfortable, that can run the ball, will take the shots, and they're the ones that's going to win the game.
Well, that was a first down for Gene Chizik's squad, his first of the ball game. Nebraska already with 7. First and 10, ball's on the 33-yard line. Got about 3:45 to play here in the opening half. Quick pass to the outside. Again, it's Armando Murillo wrapping up R.J. Summerall.
Well, that's a really good open field tackle by Armando Murillo. And I think you're absolutely right about the importance of this drive for Iowa State. You're talking about teams on the cusp and where do they go. And right now, Iowa State needs to stay in this ball game and needs to establish their offense, give that defense a little bit.
Robinson back into the backfield, 3:15 to play in the first. R.J. Sumrall in motion on 2nd down and 10. Arnaud looking, scrambling. He can run, throwing off balance, has a man down the sideline. Caught and no, incomplete. It looked like Marquise Hamilton had it in his hands, a junior out of Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Anthony West, the DB there, running with and gets his hands up. You're going to see this out here. Nice job by Arnaud getting out of the pressure, turning his shoulders and throwing. The ball's there, but look at there. West gets himself up, gets enough on the arm to knock that ball out. Great job by Anthony West on defense. And I'm impressed with Arnaud throwing that ball on the run, getting his shoulders square.
Well, more scores and highlights coming up all day on College Football Center on Versus. Pass is complete, but immediately going down on the contact is Cedric Johnson, the true freshman out of Troop, Texas. Well, that's going to bring up a 4th down situation. They need 3, and Gene Chizik's not going to take any chances. He wants to kick with the wind. Wind going from right to left. Field position important, obviously, today.
Well, and you certainly don't want to give Nebraska a short field with the way they ate up the clock on the last drive.
Nate Swift going back to return this one. He had an 88-yard one versus Virginia Tech, and this is another boomer. And this will find the end zone. Nice job punting by Mike Brantner. A kick of 59 yards. We'll take a break. We're still in the first. Nebraska, the visitors, lead it by a touchdown. All right, Ted, one of the big arguments and discussions going on in college football is, has the Big 12 overtaken the SEC? And my answer to that is yes.
Well, what I think that when you look at the SEC, here's the SEC East. Florida having lost to a Mississippi team already. Vandy having gotten beat. Georgia, you look at the bottom half of that, maybe not so good. The top half is pretty good, but you talk Big 12, SEC. I would think the difference is that the Big 12 is going out and playing people. And that's what I like to see. I mean, there's Missouri taking on an Illinois squad last year. It was very good in playing them. So that, to me, shows you something.
It's good fodder for Sundays and Mondays,
that's
isn't it, though? Now, Nebraska scored on their last possession as Joe Gans went 4 of 5 for 74 yards and the touchdown. This time they tried the ground game with Roy Hellu. We will see 3 backs, as Nebraska fans know, with Lucky Hellu and Quentin Castile. And a lot of people, after about the 2nd or 3rd game, Glenn, were criticizing Nebraska, saying, find somebody. And Bo Pelini and Sean Watson told me, we don't see a disadvantage having 3 guys that are good.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. The coaches understand it's about weapons. I'm sure Bo Pelini didn't walk out to a farm field and say, hey, farmer, you're doing your corn wrong. They didn't tell him that. But that farmer wants to tell him how to coach.
That's exactly right. Again, right off the fingertips of his tight end, Drew Young. The pass was perfect, and I think Mr. Young should have had that.
Yeah, Drew Young is running. It almost looked like he pulled his arms in a tad bit. He gets past him. You look at he just releases underneath the backer. Backer's running hard to catch him, and it's just off those fingertips. A little frustration there. So Gans put it out there. They're going to take their shots. We know that. Young secondary for Iowa State. Nebraska's going to shoot down the field.
Another 3rd down for this Nebraska offense. They're 3 of 4 today. Three wide receivers stacked. Now Mike McNeil moves to the left side. Gans, straight drop. Again, he's got time. Out in the flat. Pass is incomplete. Off the hands of Hellu, the sophomore out of Danville, California. And this is going to be the first punt of the afternoon for Nebraska.
Well, coverage was good down the field. They played deep, keeping everything in front of them. And then that was one-on-one. Back, out of the backfield against a backer on an option route. Just got the ball out in front of him a little bit much. Couldn't come up with it.
Well, Jake Wesh, who got his first career start last week versus Texas Tech as the punter for the Huskers. He is back again, replacing Dan Titchener. They were hoping Dan would get a little more consistency, but Wesh, nice job last week with a 55-yarder. Good snap. This is not going to be good. This quacked its way to about the 45-yard line. And they're going to mark it at about the 44-yard line. Tuesdays and Thursdays versus is Stirring the Soup with new original series Sports Soup, hosted by comedian Matt Eisman. Featuring the week's best highlights, lowlights, and everything in between. We're covering the coverage with the hilarious show that's Sports Rights. Sports Soup, all new every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock right here on Versus. Well, 21 yards on that punt may not keep you that job.
Well, right now, Iowa State's had good field position all game and has not capitalized. They got to get something going right here.
Which we saw last week, they capitalized on it. Robinson trying to get to the outside, but that Nebraska defense has outstanding closing speed. Asante, who had an outstanding game versus Texas Tech, comes up with a tackle. Ty Steinkuhler's the one that put the pressure on to watch it.
Well, the hardest thing for young guys to learn is you're not faster than everybody on the field. And that's what he tries to do, is outrun everybody. Larry Asante is fast, and he take him with a great pursuit, took him inside out, ended the play.
Well, no gain on the play. 2nd down and 10. They want to concentrate on the run game, but Nebraska's putting up a big stop sign again. Maybe a pickup of 1 on the play.
They've run, what, 5, maybe 6 times for not many yards so far. So
yeah.
they're not getting that run game established. I like the fact they're not giving up on it, though.
Now they're going to keep pounding it. That's their 5th rush, and they've got about 7 yards running. You can see what Nebraska's defensive line has done. Zach Potter is huge. He's 6'7", 280. He's got a couple of block kicks already this year. But the man that makes it go are the 2 guys in the middle, Ndamukong Suh and Ty Steinkuhler, who are playing probably their best football since being in Nebraska this year. Especially Steinkuhler.
There's a name from the past for all those Nebraska fans. Anybody listening obviously remembers who his father was.
Yeah, that's Dean Steinkuhler, and that's going to be the end of the first quarter of play. So the Nebraska Cornhuskers have 124 yards after the first 15 minutes. Iowa State 1 first down, 27 total yards. But the big play was the touchdown pass to Nate Swift. That's why Nebraska leads. Well, the Nebraska fans made the trip just about 2.5 hours or so outside of Ames, Iowa. And a lot of them enjoying the fine weather here. Crisp and cool. Temperature about 55 degrees right now as Iowa State has been cool on 3rd down, only 1 of 3. They're facing a 3rd and 9 now. Arnott, look out, pressure backside, and he is going to be dropped. Zach Potter coming up with his 3rd sack of the year, and he lowered the boom on him.
Well, Zach Potter at 6'7", 280. He's got great speed. He's coming around. He beats a tight end, Derek Catlett, to the ball. I mean, if you're looking at it on the far left, you've got one-on-one tight end against Zach Potter. That's not very smart. Your running back either has to come over and help, or your tackle's got to get out and help. You can't have that matchup.
Well, again, Iowa State failing to take advantage of outstanding field position, and the punt is going to be fair caught at the 15-yard line, kicking into a pretty brisk win as it's kicked up here. But Zach Potter, this is a total detonation he had on that play. Well, let's take a look at what teams are on top of it in the Lowe's building towards the BCS. And, of course, the first BCS rankings are going to be released tomorrow. 3 teams in the top 6 from the Big 12 with the Longhorns, the Sooners, and Texas Tech. Oklahoma State also in the top 10. 6 teams in the top 15. Add Missouri and Kansas to that. But, of course, Oklahoma State with Baylor today. Texas with Missouri. Oklahoma against Kansas.
Find out more about Oklahoma State. I think their strength lies in their defense. They're one of the better defenses in the Big 12, and see how they do against Baylor. We'll know a lot more.
Well, let's see if Iowa State's defense can crank it up a little bit. The pass is swung out to Quentin Castile, his 5th reception of the year.
Well, they were able to force a punt the last drive. They again got him pinned back at the 15, but already 2nd and 5. If you're an offensive coordinator, you're sitting there, Sean Watson, offensive coordinator for Nebraska, you're thinking 2nd and 5. I got a big playbook at 2nd and 5.
you do.
I do a lot.
And they'll try the right side running the football. Iowa State missing about 2 or 3 tackles. He will get close to the first down, probably be about a yard short. Quentin Castile is wrapped up by Jesse Smith on the play, the middle linebacker out of Altoona, Iowa. And Nebraska making substitutions in mass. 3 and 4 guys come in. They are very deep on both the offensive line, receivers, and in the backfield, but they have to stop. Iowa State's got to stop Nebraska on 3rd and 1. Couple of tight ends, I formation. Second man through the hole. He is hit and leans forward and probably got it by about 6 inches is Quentin Castile. Both linesmen marking it just over the 25, and that will be a first down.
And it looked like he was almost stopped short, but great leg drive, got on the backs of his linemen, able just to inch out and get that extra half a yard.
Nebraska very impressive offensively so far. Have not started 0-3 in league play since way back in 1945, and they're trying to avoid that this afternoon. Not afraid to stick to the run game. They call it evolving as they get up to the 30-yard line with Quentin Castile. It's getting better. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they really struggled running the football. But once again, you have to look at the fact that Murtha wasn't even playing the first couple of games as he was fighting that leg infection. But Bo Pelini and Sean Watson never veered away from what they believed in as far as running the football.
Isn't it funny we talk so much about attitude coming into the game with the team, but the run game's an attitude. Running the ball's an attitude, and you have to have that. It doesn't come easy. And if you get your big guys where they want to run that ball, and that running back wants to run that ball, it'll succeed.
Gans, another great play fake, dumps it off to Peterson. He gets up over the 40, another first down, the 9th of the first half for Nebraska.
There were breakdowns on in the secondary there. Not only did he get that one right there to Todd Peterson, he had Nate Swift 20 yards farther down the field he could have hit to. You take a look as he rolls out, you're going to see him. This is a 2-level pass route. He's got Peterson underneath. That's where he goes. But if you coming into your screen a little farther, you're going to see Nate Swift down there. He's wide open.
Did you see him just glance to the right before he threw the ball to Peterson?
Yeah, very
good. Took that little glance to the right. Another first down. Sean Watson, the offensive coordinator for the Huskers, he's in a rhythm right now. Play calling. Into the flat. Pass is caught right at the 50-yard line. No, they're going to mark it at the 50-yard line. Menelik Holt on the reception. Menelik Holt, he's one of those guys, the junior out of San Diego, California. He has gotten better. The coach is telling us he's really getting it going. In Texas Tech game, he had 6 receptions, 55 yards, his best game of the year. Holt's playing outstanding football right now.
So much of that goes back to what we originally said with Gans, feeling this is his offense. He's looking, he's finding the other guys.
And it is Marlon Lucky taking the snap, and he goes over the 45-yard line down to the 44-yard line. You know, we talk about rhythm, and I know people are going to say, gosh, you guys keep talking about it, but this Nebraska offense right now is in a nice rhythm.
Well, you know, I think the reason we talk about it is because when you see the first few games that they played where it wasn't evident, it's just not good. And you take a look here. Gans taking a beating, a little bit of a pinball in there, getting smacked around. Got to keep your head on a swivel if you're a quarterback now.
Well, that was Kennard Banks, who had been injured early, and Banks got called for a personal foul last week. The little swing pass. Finally brought down inside the 40, down to the 37-yard line. Not before a couple of yards are picked up.
You know, you say to yourself, hey, great play by Brandon Hundley stopping a big game. Still turned out to be a 7-yard game. Still puts you way behind the 8 ball defensively now, because you have to defend everything at this point. You know, and that's something you hear often. But what does it mean? Well, it means I've got a play to give. I get to gamble now.
Well, now they send 3 wide receivers to the left side as we close in on 10 minutes left in the first quarter, or sorry, first half. Gans, he has some pressure, steps away from it easily. Again out in the flat, and again another completion. This time to Todd Peterson. Peterson with his second reception of the ball game. Leonard Johnson, the true freshman, on the coverage.
Well, you know, the thing about Gans is, look at him. He's moving within the phone booth. See his eyes? Always downfield. He wasn't worrying about where the hit was going to come from. He's looking downfield, finds Peterson on that little stop back, little curl, boom, hits him. That's what you like in a quarterback. He's not looking to get out. He's looking down the field.
Well, last 4 games, Peterson has averaged 6 receptions. And another first down for the Huskers. From the 26-yard line, Gans play action. Again into the flat. Another completion. Inside the 20, down to the 17-yard line is Nate Swift. He already has 6 catches in this ball game, 31 for the year. And he's down now to 9 away from Johnny Rodgers' record.
That's right. Well, Swift's a big guy at 6'2", 200. They just run him square, right into Devin McDowell, who's not a big man. He's 5'9", 180. You got that type of size difference. They run him right at him, turn him around. Even if you're covering him, you're not covering him.
Now Niles Paul goes in the slot. Swift goes to the outside. Gans looks to run the option. Pitches back. Lucky gets a block on the outside. Cuts back into the end zone. Touchdown, Nebraska.
You know, the option's nice, but Marlon Lucky here, great vision. You like the way he set up blocks. And too often you say, well, a guy running the ball has to set him up. But I'll tell you what, you watch this. Watch Marlon here. He presses this block and then cuts under, then presses back outside and cuts under. Sets up both blocks on the way to that score. Great job by Lucky.
And the Huskers trying to make it a 14-point advantage. Alex Henry, perfect. 26-26 this year for Alex on the point after. And Marlon Lucky with the touchdown. His 5th rushing touchdown of the season. And the Huskers lead it by a couple of touchdowns over Iowa State. Last week versus Texas Tech, Nebraska had 5 scoring drives that went about 11 plays and averaged over 540. This scoring drive, 11 plays, win 525. And you can see the balance. That is so important.
Yeah. Well, when you put yourself in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 3, you can be pretty balanced. And that's exactly why we talk about how important that is.
Now kicking with the win. Say goodbye to the pigskin. And while they set up on the 20-yard line, we'll step aside, take a timeout. 8:59 left to play in the opening half. The Huskers lead it by a couple of TDs. What a better way to spend a Saturday afternoon in Ames, Iowa. We sit on the hill and watch the Cyclones take on the Huskers. Along with Lindsey Soto, Glenn Parker, I'm Ron Fulin. Good to have you with us. And, of course, play a little Nerf football. Well, Joe Gans likes what he sees from his running back so far, giving him a little encouragement. But right now it's been the defense that has also been pretty stout. Iowa State not able to take advantage of good field position here in the first half. This is their 4th possession of the opening half. And Austin Arnon looking to go deep. Nothing doing. Loses the football. And the officials are going to have to sort this out. And I think Iowa State got it back. Clayton Severs is the one that forced it.
Well, they're moving up a little faster. You look at there, he's got plenty of time. But see, as he's running in the pocket, he's looking at pressure, not looking down the field. Big difference between him and Gant.
Yeah, he lost about 3 on the play. 2nd down and 11. And he has to try to kind of get the pocket moving, and he does. Gets out to the outside, up over the 25-yard line. They'll mark it out at about the 27. Cody Glenn, the former running back, coming back from some injuries, getting dinged up, forces him out of bounds. That's something you want to see, though, Glenn, isn't it? You got to get him moving the pocket a little bit.
Yeah, we don't know how good his vision is. We've seen him in there panic a little bit. So let's move the pocket. Let's do a little waggle, a little naked right there just to keep. Something like that to get him out where he's part of the game and he can see a limited amount of the field to make his decisions on.
Iowa State's been only successful 1 out of 4 times on 3rd down. They're facing 9 now. J.J. Bass in the backfield. Nebraska with 5 on the line. They bring them all. Passes tipped, almost intercepted. Zach Potter almost had his 2nd interception of the year.
Well, Zach Potter read that completely, understood what they were doing with the ball, and got a big paw out there and grabbed it. Now you take a look. We're gonna lose the ball because Zach Potter's coming through. He read it, saw it, and attacked. And that's the thing. He timed his play with what he was seeing.
Well, Zach Potter also had the tip pass that Ndamukong Suh ran back for a touchdown earlier in the year against San Jose State. Now kicking into the wind again. This time it's a lot better kick. Fair catch is called for at the 28-yard line. The kick covered 44 yards, but Nebraska will have the football with 7:37 left in the half. It really is.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Football season, you can tell because the leaves are changing. At least that's what the director told me in my ear to say, so we said it. Welcome back to Ames, Iowa. We've got 7 minutes and 37 seconds left in the opening half. Nebraska very impressive on their last drive. 11 plays, 85 yards. So far this afternoon, 10 plays of 11 or more yards. 2 have covered better than 21. That shows you how explosive this has been so far. The fake to Roy Helu. Gans gets out to the outside, looking upfield. Has a man at the 40-yard line, spinning around after the catch is mentally cold. You know, we talked about the last drive. You liked this drive, didn't you?
Well, I did because, you know, sure, they threw some things out to the flat. They got the QB rolling out, moving him around. Right there we see it. There's Nate Swift bouncing off people. And then throwing a little option. It was balanced. They ran the ball. They passed the ball. They didn't attack any one part of the field more than another part of the field. You got to love balance on an offensive drive like that. It turned out very well for them.
That was a penalty flag on the play late. It was holding against Nebraska. It's their first penalty of the ball game, of course, against Tech last week. 3 holding, 3 false starts, which led the coaches to instill a punishment system. Whoever gets called for the flag, the whole offense, it doesn't matter, the whole offense has to run the extra sideline to sideline sprint during practice next week. Helu over the left side up to the 22-yard line. Pickup of 3. Cameron Bell. 4 tackles already this afternoon.
Well, if you're Iowa State, you hope you have more officials' calls helping you out on defense, because that's what's going to stop this team right now.
I agree, because that man right there has been outstanding. Gans, 13 of 17, 159 yards, 36 completions last week. That tied the Nebraska record set by Zach Taylor, who now works down at Texas A&M as an assistant. Second down and 17 for the Huskers. A little slip screen to Helu's got the opening. Cuts to the outside. He's got Green. Tripped up as he crosses the 45-yard line by James Smith.
Boy, you like a quick screen like this so that your linemen don't have a long way to go to get on their blocks. Look how fast it is. 1, 2, and throw. It's not a 3 or 4 count, so now all the linemen are already on their blocks when Helu turns and is running down the field. He doesn't have to set anything up. Gans likes it, doesn't he?
Pickup of 27 on the play. Roy Helu, his 10th reception of the year. And another first down for the Huskers as the clock goes inside of 6 minutes. Gans straight drop, looking deep into the flat, pass complete. Down to the 32-yard line, and it's Nate Swift again.
Nate
7 catches, Glenn.
Nate Swift coming from the opposite side of the formation. When he comes across, they're trying everything they can. He almost got tackled by Cameron Bell there before he ever got open. And I love the fact that Gans so controlled and at ease. He just waited and waited and waited until Swift gets himself into a position where he can throw it and puts it there. Of course, it helps when you've got great protection, not getting hit.
Well, he's got all day back there. That's the 4th play of plus 20 yards for this Nebraska offense. Lucky bounces to the outside, cuts back in the 25 down to the 22-yard line. Rayshawn Parker, his first tackle of the afternoon, the junior out of Ponca City, Oklahoma. Well, once again, you look at this Iowa State defensive line, they're not getting any pressure, number one. It's just so hard because that Nebraska offensive line seems to be dominating this football game.
Well, they are. Even, you know, the thing is, that's not a bad defensive line, but that offensive line is very good. They're big, and with all the movement that they're using with the quarterback, it's very tough for these guys on defense to get a beat on where the quarterback's going to set up.
On 2nd and 2, the playbook wide open. Gans was thinking about it to go deep. Instead, he drops it off to Niles Paul. Shows some physicality as he gets inside the 20. Duran Benton was the one with the first hit. Aaron Benton with 4 tackles already today.
Well, that's just a size issue. Niles Paul's a bigger guy and a good swat out of the way. Says, hey, you,
wow.
Duran Benton, you, out of the bar. Throws him right out the front door of the bar.
I think the true freshman just got a lesson there, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And we've got a timeout, Iowa State. They see that again, Nebraska is moving it. Over 270 yards offense in the opening half for the Huskers. With Nebraska leading 14-0, want to remind you Tuesdays and Thursdays versus is Stirring the Soup with a new original series called Sports Soup, being hosted by comedian Matt Eisman, featuring the week's best highlights, lowlights, and everything in between. They're covering the coverage with the hilarious show that Sports writes. Sports Soup, all new every Tuesday and Thursday beginning at 10 o'clock right here on Versus. Marlon Lucky back into the backfield. Second down. Second quarter, 1st and 10. Gans looks for the option, tucks and keeps, and takes a wallop. That hit comes down by Jesse Smith. He already has 5 tackles on the afternoon. The junior out of South Pole High School, 14 tackles the last couple of games. This is a former walk-on. This is a kid that is not great speed, but he's just a smart football player.
Yeah, he like you said, he's active, he's smart, he's got football IQ. He knows where he's supposed to be and how he's supposed to get there. Now, is he the best athlete out there? Not even close. But he's where he's supposed to be, and that makes him appear much faster than he is.
And it's 2nd down and 9. This time the Iowa State defense coming up from the safety spot is James Smith. The junior out of Council Bluffs, Iowa, losing a yard on the play. He's one of the team guys on this defense for Iowa State.
Well, you take a look here. Very good job. Safety beating the block of the wide receiver, Todd Peterson, getting underneath. That's James Smith. Gets under Peterson and makes it. Now, here's what we're seeing. Red zone, it's always tough when you run a spread-out offense when you get in the red zone because everything gets more compact, so all of your windows close down a little bit. You're used to having big spaces. They're just not there.
Now the splits widen a little bit for the Nebraska offensive line on 3rd down. They're looking to set up the screen, and they do. They get it to Swift. Cuts back inside the 5-yard line down to the 3.
So if you don't have space, how do you make it? You run the screen, cross the formation, come back to your wide receiver on the screen, and it always helps if the defense will miss 1 or 2 or maybe 3 tackles en route to it too. You look here, Swift is going to come back across the formation right there. There it is. Now there's 1 missed tackle. He makes a guy miss right there, gets himself another 5 yards, maybe 6 yards after that first missed tackle.
You know, the yards after catch for Nate Swift, that has been the key for him, I would think. He has been absolutely outstanding. Already the most catches of any game this year. Here's Lucky, and that'll stroll in for the touchdown, his 2nd of the ball game.
Correct snap to the back, let him have a lead block from the other back, and away he goes. He's running in. Great, well-designed play, and what it does, whenever you use your back as a running back, just like when you have a quarterback in the option, you start evening out the numbers with the defense.
Marlon Lucky, 2 touchdowns on the afternoon. He has 6 rushing, 1 reception for a touchdown, and Nebraska looking to make it a 3 TD lead here in Ames. And the extra point straight through the uprights. Marlon Lucky goes in from 4 yards, and this Nebraska defense nearly 300 yards in the opening half.
Yeah, the steal on the lead block. Now he just has to outrun some of the defenders to get there, but you see some angles taken maybe a little improperly by the defense, thinking they're going to get there, and they misjudged the speed of Marlon Lucky.
You know, talking to Wayne Bolt, the defensive coordinator for Iowa State, who's been around a long time, and he's put together some outstanding defenses, including at Troy. And, you know, he was at UAB with Watson Brown, and talking to him yesterday saying, Coach, you know, you're starting 2 true freshmen at the corners. You got other guys that are playing that have been dinged up. And he just looked at us and says, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And he knows that it was going to be a tough time today trying to stop this Nebraska offense. But they realize they're still building for the future.
And that's the key. You know, when you go into a Nebraska situation, there's pressure right now. Those fans want to win right now. I think Iowa State fans are more realistic. They understand this is a building process. You got to lay the foundation first and build from there, and then you can have great things. So there might be a little less pressure on the coaches at Iowa State than there are maybe on Pelini at Nebraska.
Well, Gene Chizik on the sideline, a little bit worried for his team. They'll get 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Let's check in with the studio and Ted Robinson for a couple of updates. Ted.
All right, Ron, coming up, the Craftsman halftime report. Roland Williamsdale Hellestray will join me. We'll take a look at this Big 12 developing race and a wild first half in College Station between Texas Tech and Texas A&M. And, Ron, I know you know a little bit about the heat in that rivalry.
You know, Ted, to say they don't like each other would be an understatement. They hate each other. And it stems back to about 4 or 5 years ago with a game at Texas Tech where fans got in a fight up in the end zone, and it turned out it was one of the A&M players' fathers that started the fight. And ever since then, it's been a total dislike. Well, that pass is incomplete as we close into 2 minutes left to play in the opening half. And you can see the opening drives. But, Glenn, you're charting this. The field position has been excellent for Iowa State on those opening drives.
Yeah, the first time they got the ball, it was past midfield at the 49. They start at their 22. They come back, they get it again on the plus 43. So it's not like field position has been against them. What's been against them is the execution. They haven't been able to do anything against his defense.
And the crowd has been awfully quiet outside of a couple of plays today. But this offense needs to get something positive happen as they head into halftime. Arnott swings it out to the side of the tight end, Derek Catlett, and that'll be only their second first down of the first 30 minutes.
Simple offense is sometimes the best. A little swing pass, get yourself some yards, positive yards. First down, you want to get, it's so funny, 3 or 4. That's all you really need every play, and you'll just move the chains. You don't have to take your big shots until you establish rhythm and get your quarterback in that comfort zone. That
picked up 12. That's their biggest gain of the afternoon. They only have a total of 39 yards in the first half. On 1st and 10, Arnott looks a little play action, looking left down the sideline, has a man streaking. Pass is going to be incomplete. Intended for Alexander Robinson out of the backfield. Tyler Wortman, the senior from Grand Island, Nebraska, on the coverage.
Well, they moved the quarterback, and that's what we talked about that I like. But rather than keep it simple and go 6 or 8, they're going all the way down the field with it. And unfortunately, not enough separation. The receiver doesn't get out there, doesn't get enough. And, let's be simple here. Move it across the formation. Take the tight end on the drag for 4 or 5. Just move the chains.
Well, Pierre Allen put pressure on him. This time they fake left, go right. Getting free. Penalty flag is going to be thrown. That's going to be against Iowa State. A good gain, but it is going to come back.
They're going to get Ben Lamack probably for blocking in the back. I don't think he could have got there to make the block in the back. I don't know if he affected this play.
Back, but number 63 of the offense. The penalty is 10 yards and replay second down.
Yeah, we'll take a look. It'll be on the right side as we come in. He's going to come from behind. He's just chasing a guy. Is that really a block in the back? It might be. I'm
you stick up for the lineman, don't you? You really do.
He's trying to get out there. He's trying to help his guy. Barely gets a hand out there on him, and they're calling that. Now, there again is how your wide receiver, your tight end, or your running back can set up a block and doesn't do it. Hurts his lineman.
You probably say a tornado is a little windy, don't you? Anyway, that pushes it back to a second down and 20 with about a minute and a half to play here in the opening 30 minutes. Arnott looking to try that little slip screen. They do it, but Nebraska converges again, and Robinson goes down, and another penalty flag is thrown.
Ty Steinkühler came flying from the line of scrimmage across in pursuit to make that play.
Now let's see what the officials call. Cooper Castleberry, our referee, one of the outstanding veteran officials.
Play. A dead ball, personal foul, or number 73 of the offense. It's a 15-yard penalty, and it'll be 3rd down.
Well, that's Reggie Stevens, a junior out of Rowlett, Texas. They call him the nastiest lineman, but you have to control that nastiest sometimes.
You sure do. Here was a drive that started off well with a 12-yard gain. Comes back, a little screen, maybe get something, and now where are you? You're back before where you started. Now here's Alexander Robinson. He's going to turn. Look at Steinkühler come whip it in there to make the play. I don't know. I didn't see it. I'm sure it was there. Did you happen to see anything wrong?
No, I didn't see it. And I don't think Reggie Stevens, he's trying to explain to Gene Chizik what he did. He goes, I don't think I did anything. Well, coming up later at 6:30 Eastern time, we go to the Pac-10. It's a primetime showdown as Jacquizz Rodgers, Oregon State Beavers travel to Seattle to take on the Huskies of Washington versus college football tonight. It's wild out there. What a year for Ty Willingham. He had high expectations. We've all heard about the proverbial hot seat. Let me tell you something. This guy can coach football. I know he's 0-5, but the heartbreaking loss to BYU, they don't seem like they've recovered from that.
You're absolutely right. But isn't it interesting? And I will say this, after watching that, the thing that came to mind when I watched it happen is not so much the call, whether you believe it to be right or wrong, or even just because they can make a call, do they need to? But all you have to do is execute PAT field goal block, the easiest play for your lineman, and they didn't do it.
That's exactly right.
If anybody had the option to be sad and under the weather, it should have been BYU. They just got scored upon.
That's exactly right. Well, now Iowa State's going to burn a timeout as they're facing a 3rd down and 30 going against the wind. Well, you know, we've been talking about the Big 12. Obviously, it's been an outstanding year for the Big 12, and the problem is they got to play each other during the year. Of course, Missouri taking on Texas today, and we have Kansas at number 15, led by their quarterback Todd Reesing and Kerry Meyer, and Chase Daniel leading the 12th-ranked Missouri Tigers going to Memorial Stadium in Austin today. Zach Robinson, and of course Sam Bradford of Oklahoma and the Sooners. Don't forget Graham Harrell, number 5 Texas Tech. And probably the Heisman Trophy frontrunner right now, Colt McCoy, as he's able to hook it up with Jordan Shipley, Quan Cosby and company. And here are the Papa John's conference leaders. You saw them on 3rd down and 30. And they're going to be well short of the 1st down. They had to get up to the 42-yard line. Let's take a look at those Papa John conference leaders once again. And, well, I'll tell you what, that's you're Joe Ganger, 15. And you're completing the passes you're completing at almost 70%.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough when you look at that and realize where you are in the conference. And of course, Graham Harrell with that offense at Texas Tech and Bradford. You look across the board, great quarterbacks throughout the Big 12.
Well, Nebraska and both Iowa State each have a timeout remaining, and Iowa State's going to have to kick it away, facing 4th and 24. Now they're kicking with the wind, or I should say against the wind.
Their punter's been effective, though, against the wind. And Nebraska's is where they've had problems. So far, their punter, he drove a really good one, 44 yards the last time.
He's already punted 4 times for a 42-yard average. And Mike Brantner again. This one another outstanding kick. Swift at the 30, and he is upended at the 31-yard line. Nice special teams play. 52-yard kick, and it has been a great first half for Nate Swift. 8 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown.
And a whole lot of broken tackles. 3 on this touchdown right here. And then right here, you see him getting in the little motion from the backside of the formation. Once again, movement, outrunning safeties, outrunning linebackers trying to cover him. You know, the thing is, you put a linebacker on Nate Swift, it's not going to work.
That's right.
It's just not going to work. And that's why it's so important for Nebraska they started getting a 3rd receiver involved in the game. Make it tough on the secondary to cover.
You know, Nebraska is going to have the football for 20 minutes in this first half. They're on pace for another 40-minute time of possession. The pass is complete. Up to Todd Peterson, and he gets another 1st down. Over 300 total yards for Nebraska. And they're trying to make sure that they get in range of a possible field goal. Alex Henry, who's 8 of 10, 16 of 18 over the last 2 years warming up.
Well, held the ball 40 minutes last week. Definitely on par to catch that again this week.
Another complete pass up to Meneley Colt. 48 seconds left to play in the half. Once again, Nebraska with 1 timeout remaining. And the ball is sitting at the 37-yard line. It would be a 54-yard field goal. Once again, they're kicking with the wind. And you see the numbers on Joe Gans. Wow.
You pay attention with Joe. They move him a lot, but also when he chooses to move on his own, he's keeping his eyes down the field and finding that 3rd receiver, that 4th guy, that next option. He's not panicking.
On 2nd down and short. Gans looking deep, has a man. He's going to overthrow his tight end, Mike McNeil. Once again, it's a very strong breeze. Devin McDowell was with him step for step, but the air just got a little underneath that ball.
Yeah, you know, he's trying to go to his big tight end, especially on a small DB like Devin McDowell, but the ball just gets away from him. There's a little air there, and that's credit to Devin McDowell. Good coverage. He's tight. That ball had to be where it was in order for it not to be intercepted.
Yeah, he was a starter. He's had some shoulder problems, McDowell. That's why Johnson replaced him. 3rd down and 2, 42 seconds left to play in the opening 30. Roy Heller now in the backfield. Gans plants his foot, pass is complete. 1st down, Huskers inside the 30 to Meneley Colt. Colt's 3rd catch of the afternoon.
No, you're going to watch right Meneley Colt here. He goes up, separates and then stops. And that little stop just gives him enough to get back on the ball. Very good coverage again, but Gans puts the ball where only his guy can get it. Wide receiver ran a good crisp route in order to get open there. And I'll tell you, Nebraska's doesn't look like they want to settle for a field goal. They're getting it down for another touchdown and really open this game up.
8 different receivers have caught passes in the first half. And Gans, no pressure again, taking his time over the middle. Pass is caught inside the 10. It's loose. Iowa State's got it. Jesse Smith taking the ball out of midair. He should just take a seat. He almost gets dropped for a safety, still on his feet as he gets over the 15 up to about the 20-yard line. That was the oddest play I have seen this year.
What you saw was a gas gauge go empty right there. That guy I'll tell you what, Jesse Smith, great job, but I think he underestimated the energy it took to run the ball and make people miss, because he went completely empty here. That ball pops out right there, Jesse Smith on it. He's going to almost get tackled, and his strides are getting shorter. I have a feeling he's breathing heavy. And now this is the best part. Gets up here, takes a hit, and he is a dead stop, yet falling forward.
Oh, my. He went to the same high school as Kyle Orton. I think he thought he was Kyle Orton running the football there.
Fans upset that they take a knee, but they have to understand
play.
Iowa State's getting the ball coming out at half. Don't make a mistake now. You'll get it again. You get the ball first up.
Did he look like Bateman in the Replacements by chance? I'm just kind of curious there. Well, it's the end of the first half, and it was a good first half for the Huskers. 349 total yards in the opening 30 minutes. Let's check in with Lindsay Soto. Lindsay.
Coach, one word you used all week long was execution. That last turnover notwithstanding, I'd imagine you're pretty pleased with your team in that department.
Yeah, well, we have 2 turnovers, and, you know, but overall, we're playing pretty good football right now. The kids are playing hard. They're executing, and I like what I see so far.
On pace to have the ball for 40 minutes, just like last week. How important is that time of possession stat for your offense?
It's huge. I mean, it's best defenses when we're not on the field, and our kids are getting off the field, and we're playing good football. We just put 2 halves together, because we haven't done that yet.
Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Ron, one more stat that the Huskers will be pleased with: just 1 penalty so far. They came into this game with a league high 54.
Oh, and they're not going to have to run too much on Monday. Well, the Huskers lead it 21-0. Coming up on the other side of the break, the Craftsman halftime report. Stay with us right here on Versus. The Nebraska Cornhuskers held the ball better than 20 minutes in the opening half. They had nearly 350 yards while holding Iowa State to just 45 yards. That's why Nebraska leads at 21-0. Lowen Glenn Parker, I'm Ron Thulin. I think you'd have to say that Nebraska was almost surgical in the offense in the first 30 minutes of play.
Well, I think you could say it, and it all starts at the quarterback spot. You know, Joe Gans, here's a guy that he did exactly what they asked him to do: move the ball around, find the different receivers. You get that done, you're going to be fine. And really, it's about comfort. And what do we say? He has to look around. Well, boom, right off the bat, he's got 3 receivers going to. Menalik, and then over here he finds Todd Peterson, and then he's got Nate Swift. He's moving out of the pocket. He's confident. He's looking. And then, of course, different levels of offense they're running with. And then they had the running game, which we talked about as well. I don't know if we get much better than Marlon Lucky, the way he set up blocks, the way he ran the ball, and then he took a direct snap and gets himself a touchdown. Surgical throughout the entire half, but also a bit creative and balanced. More than anything, balanced. You look at the 3 receivers we talked about early, come out, 200 yards of offense out of them, and a good 15 catches between them. That's balance, that's surgical precision, and that's knowing that you want to control the game, you want to control the ball.
Well, and the Iowa State fans have not had a whole lot to cheer about, considering that their team has only 45 yards total offense in the 9 minutes and 20 seconds that they were able to hold on to the football. But this Nebraska offense is the one that's really been stout, including that man right there, Nate Swift, who has been outstanding in the ball game. Swift with 8 catches, 112 yards. Iowa State's going to get the ball to begin the second half. You know, you don't want to speculate anything, Glenn, and you hate doing it, but if Phillip Bates would still be on the team for Iowa State, he'd probably be playing right now, I'd have to think.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up. He's the type of kid that you'd want as a change of pace, that you would bring in and say, hey, we got to get something going. We got to spark our offense. And you're absolutely right. That's probably where they would head right now.
Well, let's take a look at the numbers from the first 20 minutes of play, and you can see it is all Nebraska.
Well, rushing, you know, running the ball, did a great job, spread the ball around, passing, very controlled. When you have 349 yards of offense in one half, and the first downs, they had 19 first downs, 20 minutes of possession. You talk surgical, how about a preponderance of stats on your side? That's what Nebraska has.
Well, Iowa State, only 4 players have caught passes, and the longest pass has been for 12 yards. Alexander Robinson will begin the second half in the backfield. And Arnaud wants to put it up, may have waited a tad too late, but he did complete the pass to Sumrall.
Little movement, little play action, get him rolling, let him see one guy. You don't have to read the whole field. I got one read, boom, throw. That's exactly what you'd like to see more of if you're an Iowa State fan.
Pickup of 13, biggest pick of the game, and just Chiswick came out of the locker room and just went right to the sideline. I would have to say that he is very disappointed that his team did not show up in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Shades of last week.
And you practice all week. You know, you don't practice for a 30-minute game. You practice all week for a whole game.
Now they go to the run. Robinson breaks into the secondary. It's a foot race inside the 20, 10, 5, touchdown Iowa State. .67 yards for Alexander Robinson. His longest run of the year and the longest run for Iowa State of the season.
Well, you got to get something started, don't you? And boy, what a way to kickstart your half.
Yeah.
Big time run. Alexander Robinson, you wanted a run game going. I think they got it.
37 seconds on that drive. And the extra point was tipped, but it is still good. So Iowa State, that could do nothing in the first 30 minutes, less than 50 yards. Already they come up with a 60-plus yarder in the second half. Robinson's run against the Husker defense, the longest against them this year. It was 49 by Baron Batch of Texas Tech last week. But it is now a 14-point game. Paul and Denard standing back, and of course it's a penalty flag. You know, you hate seeing that. You have this emotional high where you get this great touchdown, then you can't get the kickoff inbounds.
Well, you talk about that touchdown right here. See, Catlett, the tight end, he takes Dillard, the middle backer, out. Great job by the tackle, Doug Diedrich, getting up to Cody Glenn. When those two blocks are made, the only guy is the backside safety trying to run all the way over the top to make the play. It's too late. Not enough speed to catch up with Robinson there. It's a really well-designed play, a misdirection without movement, and that's what you love to see.
That's Robinson, only his second touchdown this year. It covered 67 yards, but Nebraska with great field position. Their first possession of the second half at their own 40. This is their best start. Gans looks. Little misdirection of Mike McNeil, the tight end. And he may have another first down. James Smith already with 9 tackles from that safety spot today.
And that's not what you want.
No.
You'd really like your linebackers to be leading in tackle. And what happens, what you're seeing is, once again, the QB movement, you get Gans out. The motion back in and then back out, it freezes the backers. The backers now are too slow to recover. That's an easy throw into with your momentum, and it allows you to get those extra yards, 2-3 yards after that catch.
Nate Swift in the slot on the near side. Lucky. Not so lucky. Picks up about 4, Cameron Bell. Starting in place of Michael Bibbs, a sophomore out of Round Rock, Texas, just outside of Austin. He's got 6 tackles today. And it sets up a 2nd down and 7. Pickup of 3 on the play. This is a time for this Iowa State. They need a stop now. Their offense did their part. And Joe Gans has been outstanding. 22 of 27, almost 300 yards throwing.
They need to stop, but they got to be smart too. They're playing with emotion. They just can't have a penalty.
That's going to be an incomplete pass. It was close to a lateral off Lucky's hands. And Nebraska's already had 4 fumbles today. They've lost 2.
And you look here, this is your 5-yard run, but the ball did go forward. Lucky just got caught looking at his blocking a little before the ball got there.
3rd down for the Huskers. 6 of 8 in the first half. They were successful. Niles Paul wide to the right. Iowa State showing blitz. Now they only bring 3. They drop in coverage. Gans in trouble, and he's going to go down.
Curtis Taylor gets there with a good rush. Nice job staying active. And once again, we see him where it's about his motor. It's about continuing with the play and not giving up. He's right at the bottom of the screen working against Janarvio Burks. He's pretty much enveloped. But when Gans steps up, that's when his motor kicks in and he's able to get that sack. It's a good job by that tackle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, quarterback has to understand, you step up, it's on you.
Now Taylor gets his 4th sack of the year. He had 6.5, finished 2nd in the Big 12 last season. In Nebraska, this is only going to be their 2nd punt. The first one covered 21 yards. This is much better. Goes into the end zone. It'll be about a 50-yard kick officially for Jake Wesh. Now let's take a look at our Buffalo Wild Wings flashback from 2006.
Ahead by only a touchdown late in the first half, Nebraska started a drive at its own 40 with no timeouts remaining. Zach Taylor marched the Cornhuskers down to the Iowa State 28 with all intentions of getting in the end zone. What happens next? You make the call. The Cyclone show blitz, but it wasn't enough to scare Taylor, who completed to Maurice Purified for 28 yards to go up by 2 touchdowns at the half and silence the 2nd largest crowd in Iowa State history. Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right, Zach Taylor, a record-setting quarterback at Nebraska, but Iowa State takes over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Now, last week or 2 weeks ago, they led Kansas by 20 at halftime. Saw the Jayhawks score 28 unanswered points. Maybe they're going to flip-flop it this week.
Just look at that. They had more yards on that last play than they did the entire first half.
And it was good blocking, as you mentioned, on the replay. 1st and 10, their own 20. Just about 2.5 minutes gone by here in the second half. Arnaud's got some time. He wants to go deep. Has Summerall at the 50. Pass is incomplete, and here comes the penalty flag.
Well, Summerall's trying to gain back some real estate. The DB never turns to face the ball. Murillo never looked back. And so he kept the pressure on the one arm, and it looked like he was hooked. Whether it's interference or not, you know, that's one thing or another. But the official, what he saw, certainly looked like it to him.
And the officials are actually talking about it.
Pass interference on number 6 of the defense. It's a 15-yard penalty, and it's a 1st down.
That's only the 2nd penalty on the Huskers this afternoon.
And you take a look here. Arnaud's looking deep, and it's a simple go route out there by Summerall. But see, as he's trying to gain ground, the DB, Murillo, didn't look back until he was already being hooked. And at that point, it's too late. The referees see what they see.
Well, we'll give him a pickup of 15 on the play, because it puts the ball at the 35-yard line. J.J. Bass now in the backfield with Catlett playing the fullback spot. Cedric Johnson in motion. Looking, pass should have been caught. Incomplete, right into the hands of Taylor Mansfield. The sophomore tight end is also has played offensive line and tight end in high school.
You know, they're doing what we talked about. You got to move them a little bit, a little misdirection. That right there is a little naked. Get it out to a guy. If it's there, it's good for 6-7 yards. Ball's dropped. That one you can't lay at the feet of anybody but the tight end, who just simply drops the ball.
Drop the ball. 2nd down and 10. You don't want to get behind the chains. They're going to run the option, and he is going to be dragged from behind. Outstanding defensive play by Ty Steinkuhler, the senior out of Lincoln, Nebraska. You know, you look at tape, and we were talking to the offensive coordinator of Iowa State, Robert McFarland. Just the fact that Steinkuhler is probably one of the best technicians on the defensive line.
Well, you put a good technician on that line, and you put Kalechi Osamele, the guard, who stepped upfield rather than flat. When you're running that option, that first step's got to be flat along that line of scrimmage, and he didn't do that. And because he didn't do that, Steinkuhler goes right underneath him and makes the play.
At 13 tackles last year, he's got 30 this year. Last year, he battled injuries. He's finally healthy. Here comes the blitz. Arnaud reads it. Pass is complete up to the 38-yard line to Marquise Hamilton out of Edmond North High School, just outside of Oklahoma City. That is Hamilton's first catch of the afternoon. He's got 15 on the season. But it's not enough for the first down, and Iowa State's going to be forced to kick. Once again, they'll be kicking into a pretty stiff breeze. And Mike Bratner has done a nice job, and this is a decent kick. Starts to head off to the left. Almost hits a Husker. It'll be marked down at the 36-yard line.
That ball died real quick. Got up there, and that wind just caught it and killed it.
Well, coming up later at 6:30 Eastern time, we go to the Pac-10. It's a primetime showdown with Oregon State taking on the Washington Huskies, coming your way live from Seattle versus college football tonight. It's wild out there. Must win for Mike Riley's staff. They can get on the positive side of a one-loss record. Of course, Ty Willingham still looking for his first victory for the Huskies.
Yeah, that team's had multiple personalities at Oregon State. Come out so strong some games and look so bad others.
Tough place to play, too. Nebraska on first down, able to pick up 4. Quentin Castile. Castile in that first half rushed 4 times, only had 7 yards. Did also catch a pass as they go to that tri-headed monster for running the football. No Gans in the offense. 363 yards so far in this ball game. This is an offense that averages just over 420 a contest. Great handoff up the middle to Castile, and he's going to get close to the 45-yard line, be 2 yards short of the first down. Top of the show, we talked about our Craftsman tools for success, and here's where the numbers stack up again.
Yeah, he said you had to run the ball first. Of course, Nebraska averaging 3.5 yards a rush, and you look at Iowa State, and then that would lead to quarterback comfort. Well, Gans is having quite a game, and Arnaud not so much. And you got to take your shot. You got to throw downfield a little bit. Well, 8 players have caught a pass for Nebraska, and they've had some nice plays down the field. Nate Swift on a long touchdown. All those things build on one another.
3rd down and 2. They're 0 for 1 here in the second half. Gans on the option, keeps it. Hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he is going to be dropped.
Jesse Smith, emotional play yet again, Ron. Coming up, making a big-time hit on Gans.
And, of course, it was Jesse Smith picking the fumble recovery out of the air to end the first half.
And here he comes, middle linebacker spot. They don't get up. They don't get a man on the second level. No lineman gets to him. He's running free, inside-out hit, exactly what you want out of your backer. Knocks Gans down. Emotional play, as you mentioned. Interception to end the first half, which could have easily led to either 3 or 7 points. And then what do? They came right out and scored. So a big turnaround. Right now, Jesse Smith is the guy that's kind of running this show for them.
And punting with the wind. A driving kick back to the 20-yard line. And that's where it's going to stop. 35 yards on the kick. With more on Bo Pelini, here's Lindsay.
Gets set to take over on defense. We're reminded that this is kind of what Bo and his brother Carl are known for, but that didn't used to be the case when they were little boys growing up in Youngstown, Ohio, and they used to play football in the front yard. Bo actually was the running back, and Carl was his lead blocker, and those games are where Bo got his nickname. Everybody in the family used to get nicknames in those games, and he was named after Cleveland Browns running back Bo Scott. His real name is Mark. Bo stuck. Nobody can remember what anybody else's nicknames were. He also gained in those games the toughness that we see from him now as a coach, which of course is indicative of that steel type of town. He was the youngest of 8 kids, so as you can imagine, they sort of picked on him a little bit, and he got to be pretty tough. Didn't want to take a back seat to anybody, and now he's not. He's his older brother's boss, huh?
That's exactly, and they get along. You know, you look at the coaches that have a tie to Youngstown: Bob Davie, Mark Mangino, of course, at Kansas, Bob Stoops, OU, Mike Stoops at Arizona.
And those are just the head coaches.
Those are just the head coaches.
Just the head coaches.
You know, Jim Tressel coached at Youngstown State. It's 2nd down and 10. Arnon looks, throws, passes. Should have been caught at the 25-yard line. In and out of the hands of Colin Franklin, the sophomore from Simi Valley, California. Once again, he's the victim of 2 passes so far in the second half. And I want to say they should have been caught, both of them.
I agree with you. And, you know, instead of being now at 2nd and 5, you're 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
And those type of things just kill a team's momentum. And last drive we saw it, they probably would have been at a 2nd and 3. Instead, they get stopped and had to punt. And now here we are again, 3rd and 10. It is tough, I don't care where you are, to pick up 10 yards on 3rd down when you're deep in your own territory.
Number 12 in the Big 12 3rd down percentage. Today, they're only 1 of 7. Arnon looks into the flat. Pass caught short of the 1st down at the 28-yard line.
Well, that's an experience at both the quarterback and wide receiver.
Yeah.
You're throwing an 8-yard pass. You're running an 8-yard route when you need 10. You're not going to break a tackle on an out route. You're going to break a tackle across the middle. You're not going to break it up at the sideline.
That drives a coach nuts. You're supposed to know where that sideline marker is. That'll be about 2 yards short, 4th down and 2. Ratner's punt, a wobbly one. Swift's going to let it bounce, and it takes a good Iowa State bounce, and it'll be down back at the 31-yard line. A 40-yard kick. Iowa State scored on their first possession of the second half, and nobody has scored since. We're in the 3rd. Nebraska leads it by 14. State scoring here in the second half, much to the delight of the crowd of nearly 48,000. And Joe Gans's offense takes over again at their own 31-yard line. 1st and 10. They lead it 20-14. Lucky, nothing doing. The Iowa State defense doing a nice job. He's able to pick up 1 on the play. Nebraska trying to snap their losing streak, looking to avoid a 4-game losing streak in back-to-back seasons. If that happens, it'll be the first time since 60-61. That brings up a 2nd down, and we'll call it about 9. 7:35 to play here in the 3rd.
This is where we talk about smarts. Joe Gans, what they want to do with Joe Gans here is you only want to get 4, 5, 6. You don't have to get it all. That's where you'll see the maturity at quarterback.
And a little play actions worked well. This time he's looking down the middle. Instead goes crossing route. Pass is dropped. Nice hit defensively. It was in the hands. And Hundley, Swift and Hundley put the boom on him.
Now they scored a touchdown on this very play earlier in the day using Swift. Oh, there he is right there. It's Todd Peterson this time. He gets hit, but there you go. That's what I was talking about. Instead of getting 4, 5, 6, they take the shot.
Yeah. They
go farther downfield. Timing is there. Boom. Now they're staring to the 3rd and 9.
Well, Peterson comes out. They're facing 3rd and 9, 7-17 in the 3rd. 3 wide receivers set, 2 to the bottom, 1 to the top. Gans looks, that little slip screen. They've got the 1st down and then some to spare. Marlon Lucky close to the 50. They'll mark him down at the 48-yard line. Well-designed play.
We talked about that play in the first half.
Yeah.
What it does is you're not putting a lot of pressure on your linemen to time their blocks. The ball's out so fast. See, by the time he makes one move, he's already got a lineman on a block, and then he sets up that second block. Good job by Jacob Hickman getting down there. The center releases, gets down, and gets a nice block on the safety.
Yeah, Hickman did a nice job on that. They say he's got quick feet. He showed it there. On the ground. Nice open field tackle as Lucky picks up about 5 on the play. Kennard Banks on the stop. Let's check in with Ted Robinson in our studios.
Well, Ron, with a win today, Utah may be in the top 10 when tomorrow's BCS comes out. Matt Asiata's touchdown run puts Utah in front. And Texas Tech, Ron, has scored 10 straight. They're up 30-23 on A&M.
A tough year for Mike Sherman. No speed on defense, but they hung tough, obviously, taking a first-half lead over Texas Tech. And here you see the numbers for Joe Gans. Joe Gans, 6 300-yard games. Got another one today. This time scrambling for his life, and he's just going to throw it into the cheap seats. Good pressure by Iowa State. Gans did the smart thing, and you talked at the top of the show. Sometimes you just got to make that play.
You have to realize not every play is a touchdown. It doesn't work that way. Eat the ball or throw it away. Don't be a hero. Now, and right there you were at 2nd and 4, so it didn't hurt. It doesn't hurt you now. Here you sit, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. Still got a big playbook in front of you if you're the offensive coordinator.
1 of 3 on 3rd down in the second half, so this Iowa State defense has done a nice job on Nebraska. 3rd down and short, they just need 4. This time they try to run that little screen, nothing doing. Nate Freer is right there. The most consistent defensive lineman shows why on that play.
Well, great job of understanding and learning it. It'd been run at him twice. Here he comes. He's right in the middle of the screen. He rolls right out with Martin Lucky. The minute he felt pressure away, he took off, got to the throw point, and met the play there.
And Dan Titchener now is going to punt because Jake Wesch has not been outstanding in this ball game. So Titchener, who started the first part of the season, hasn't shown a lot of consistency, gets a second opportunity. Devin McDonald, R.J. Sumrall back to receiving. And Titchener, a slow spirally kick. Fair catch is called for, and it dribbles into the end zone. 46 yards on the punt, no return. Tuesdays and Thursdays versus is Stirring the Soup with the new original series, Sports Soup, hosted by comedian Matt Eisman. Featuring the week's best highlights, lowlights, and everything in between. We're covering the coverage with a hilarious show that's sports right. Sports Soup, all new, every Tuesday and Thursday at 10, right here on Versus. Well, Iowa State 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. 5 minutes and 8 seconds left here in quarter number 3. Only 45 yards in the first half, almost 100 here in the 3rd quarter. Sumrall in motion. Arnaud looking, throwing, pass complete up to the 30-yard line. 1st down Iowa State to Marquise Hamilton. 2nd catch of the second half for Hamilton.
Well, they did a nice job. You had balance there in your offense because of where you were on the field. So they attacked one side of the zone, 3 guys, and found an opening. And you throw to a window a lot of times, and there was the window.
Now looking at Robert McFarland, the offensive coordinator, who's upstairs just to our left, and he is very calm. Team's only down by 14. He makes the calls from upstairs. Arnaud, now he's got some room to run. Gets up to the 35, to the 36-yard line. Picks up 6 on the play. Zach Potter coming from that defensive end spot to make the stop. Now, we didn't see that. He didn't have any indecision there, is what I'm trying to say here.
He wasn't. You're absolutely right. No indecision. When he decided that there was nothing downfield, he took off and run. That's fine. You like a quarterback that does that, or you like a quarterback that's looking down the field and can get rid of it. You don't like indecision. That's exactly what was happening in the first half, was indecision.
Well, 2nd down and just over 5 they're saying. Arnaud. Pass complete. Another 1st down for the Cyclones up to the 42-yard line. Pass complete to Colin Franklin. And there's the backup quarterback, Jerome Tiller. He's a big one at 6'4" from San Antonio's Robert E. Lee High School. I watched him in high school. He is an outstanding talent. He's got a cannon of an arm, but they want to redshirt him. They're telling Austin Arnaud, listen, you got to play the whole game. That's the way it is. And you think that may have an effect on some of their play plan?
Well, now, explain to me, Jerome Tiller, there's Austin Arnaud, right? And we got to keep him healthy. We don't want Jerome Tiller to have to come in. Well, we know Bates. Bates decided he wasn't going to be a part of this team.
Right.
And we might have seen him earlier. Is that correct?
I agree. 2 weeks ago, he was the backup, didn't play against Kansas. Robinson, after a nice run, comes up hobbling a little bit. Bates, Thursday before last week's game, decided he didn't want to be part of this program, wanted to go someplace where he's going to start. So Tiller is now the backup, but they're hoping they don't have to use him this year. But he is getting snaps in practice. Let me tell you, he's an outstanding young player, though. On 2nd down and short, and it is going to be close. Needed to get to the 47-yard line, and I think he's going to be about a foot short on this.
Going to be darn close, and that was a little bit indecision on his offensive line as he came through. They're just going to go ahead and give it to him.
I'm impressed. It was a good spot.
I watched Osamele come around, and when he came around, he was indecisive. Look at big 72 here. He'll almost stop in the hole, see? And what that does is now Robinson gets himself indecisive. When you're pulling and you come through, if you don't have your man in and you're wondering, you make a mistake at full speed, blast through that hole, clear it out. You only got a yard to go.
And they did get the first down, a pretty good spot, 1st and 10. Not this time. Philip Dillard, let me introduce you to the Iowa State runner. Philip Dillard, the junior out of Tulsa Jenks High School. They lost 2 on the play.
Well, you know, what happens there is you miss the block coming across. Derek Catlett, the tight end, that's the play that they scored on earlier. This time, Philip Dillard reads it out, beats the block of the tight end, or fullback in that case, who is a tight end, beats that block and meets it in the backfield.
Well, officially, it's a loss of 3 yards. 2nd down and 13, 2:11 to play in the 3rd. Pass tipped at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. The pocket was collapsing around Arnaud, and I think the pass was tipped by Ndamukong Suh, who already has 1 interception this year, which he hauled 49 yards for a touchdown.
Well, really good push inside by that defensive line, and there's Suh jumping up, getting that big hand out there, and he wasn't the one with the pressure. Once again, if you don't get pressure, if you're a D lineman, what do? Hands got to come up, build a picket fence.
1 of 8, Iowa State on 3rd down, but the average they needed to get first down on 3rd was over 8 yards. Now they face 3rd and 13, and we've got a whistle and a timeout in Nebraska. So Carl and Bo Pelini walk out on the field. They want to talk about it as they know Iowa State facing 3rd and long. 2:02 left to play in the 3rd stanza. You know, we talk about Bo Pelini, and he took over when Frank Solich was let go back in 2003. His first head coaching position was at the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio, Texas against Michigan State. And he came out fired up with his team, and everybody knew they loved Bo Pelini at that point. Of course, they get the touchdown there. Then Jeff Smoker sees the pressure, pocket collapses, he goes down, and Pat Frost, the chairman of the Alamo Bowl committee, gives the trophy to Bo Pelini, who gives it to his team. And you know, after that, he became almost a folk hero in Lincoln, Nebraska. They've got some great t-shirts in Nebraska about Bo Pelini. My Bo friend is back was one of my favorite, and as you can see, he obviously knew defense back in 03, and when he went to Oklahoma, then he went to LSU. 3rd down and 13. Arnaud's pass complete. First down, Iowa State. R.J. Sumrall, 5 receptions today. This one covers 16.
Austin Arnaud first. That was a muscle throw. He couldn't step into it as he was getting hit. He was all arm. He kept it right where it had to go. Watch this. Now, he's got initially some time, but as he steps up, he gets hit. That is all arm. He can't follow through. Look at this. The hit is coming. He can't follow through. There's the ball. Great reception. But the emotional lift of getting a 3rd and long might really help this offense.
He's a big guy at 6'3", 222. And another first down. This time the Nebraska defense stacking up J.J. Bass. Maybe gets a foot on the play.
I still like the fact that Iowa State's not giving up on the run. Now, and once again, we say, well, it's 2nd and long. So, you know, what do? Now, Nebraska opted to take a shot, which I didn't think was the right move. We'll see what they decide to do here for Iowa State, whether they go conservative and get the 5 or 6 and give themselves manageable on 3rd, or whether they take that shot.
4 first downs on this drive for Iowa State. They only had 5 in the first half. 2nd down and 10, inside of a minute to play. Arnaud into the flat, caught inside the 30, down to about the 20. No, they're saying it was a fumble. Never went out of bounds. Iowa State didn't react to it.
That ball just sat there on the sideline before going out. Before being picked up, excuse me.
Armando Murillo comes up with the loose ball. The pass was complete, but watch what it does.
Well, they did exactly what we said they should have done. There's a little shot to Catlett, the tight end. He's fighting for yards. Great job of poking that ball out. Now, was he out of bounds? Is the question.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to review this.
Well, here's a good look. No, he wasn't. That ball he's losing that ball before he steps out of bounds.
Haven't seen anybody call for a replay as of yet. Banks Williams is the replay official. And the fans, you can hear them booing. They don't like it. But the referee has not been buzzed. There it is. He just got buzzed.
Well, we'll get some more looks, I'm sure. And tough to tell. Do you think there's enough to turn it over is the question.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be absolutely clear. So Cooper Castleberry will go over to the headset. We send the looks to the replay officials, and we'll look at it again.
Yeah, and you see Catlett with it now. That he has to be out of bounds. I think that hand comes around before the. If you're losing that ball before you step out, it's a fumble.
But did he pick up? Was he out of bounds when he picked up the ball?
That might be a question as well. But I was simply looking at did he fumble the ball in bounds or not. Maybe the review is he was out of bounds when he picked it up.
Well, it's one of two. Yeah, we'll take one more look at it. They're looking. We understand if was he out of bounds when he lost possession?
No.
And right there.
But the ball's already out at that point.
Before his foot hits. Now, was the player out of bounds and then came back inbounds to get the ball? So nice job punching away, though.
That's a great job of replay. Great job of replay as well.
Now, see, you can see the ball is right there. Boy, that is so close. Look at that.
The ball's in bounds now.
He's out of bounds. The player who picked it up out of bounds. Did he establish position back in bounds?
That's what we might have to look at as well.
Well, see, now there, that's tough to see right there.
Yeah, that ball's popping out, though. I'm going to say it's a fumble. But now we need to see whether Murillo 6 is inbounds or out of bounds when he grabs the ball.
See, he steps out of bounds.
Very tough to tell. Can't
I don't know.
From there.
Did he ever establish position back inbounds?
If he touches it from out of bounds, it's a dead ball right there.
You know, we went to this replay or this official little school in July, and the Big 12 was kind enough to let us come there, and we spent 2.5 days listening to the rules and what these men go through as far as officiating college football. And I can tell you, Glenn, after being there for 3 days, I would not want to be official.
No, it's tough. You know, it's never an easy job for these guys. And, you know, we can look at it 9 times and say they made a bad call, and they can fix it. But to them, it's still, hey, we made a bad call. And it's very tough on them.
Well, I know Walt Anderson does a great job in the Big 12. Dave Warden, everybody there. And I'll tell you what, there are so many different rules at play here that I'm not going to speculate. I think number 1 was his foot out of bounds when he let the ball go. And number 2 was Murillo out of bounds when he got the ball. And they have to wait just like we do. Now they want to keep it to about 2 minutes, and obviously we've passed that point. So there's some discussion up in the booth, obviously. Once again, Banks Williams, the replay official.
That guy's got a big hat.
And I'm sure his mom and dad are quite proud of him.
Yes, indeed.
As he imitates John Bon Jovi.
I'm just impressed you knew that was John Bon Jovi, Ron. That's...
My wife likes him. That's all I know. And he owns a football team. How about that?
Yes, he does.
Now, Cooper Castleberry, we could have brought him a chai latte and a scone on this one.
Well, you know, the bottom line is this. You'd like to get it right. That's what you want. So let him take the time and get it right.
Well, they continue to look. Gene Chizik and Bo Pelini continue to wait. And believe me, nobody's more anxious than Cooper Castleberry. Now they're looking if the defender does establish himself inbounds.
Yeah, because as we believe it's a fumble.
Yep.
So now
he's out of bounds right there.
1 foot out of bounds, 2 foot out of bounds.
Here we go. Here we go.
First down.
They confirm the call. And he did get back in bounds.
He got 1 foot back in. The other foot was off the ground. He's inbounds. So we waited, but they got it right. And in the end, that's what you asked for.
And, of course, the Iowa State fans didn't like it. But, you know, you got to hold on to the football. And then if you do fumble, you got to get on it.
And you talk about a possible turning point in the game. That great drive going, and a turnover can really hurt you.
Well, 1st and 10 from their own 37-yard line, the final minute of the 3rd quarter. A big hit, another fumble, and Iowa State's got the football. Leonard Johnson lowered the boom on Todd Peterson.
Iowa State answers emotion with emotion. Big hit with big hit. Now, while the one play was smart on the one side, they come back. Wide open guy gets the catch. What do? You fire at him and you hit him and you knock this ball loose. Great job of popping that out. That's great emotion. The ball's on the ground and he's got it.
We told you Leonard Johnson, this is his 2nd big hit of the ball game, that he is going to be outstanding. That was great play by the freshman. He has 2 forced fumbles already today. And Iowa State, or Nebraska now with 5 fumbles, they've lost 3. Wow. Turn of events. Final 31 seconds, and then Iowa State will go with the win. 1st and 10, ball's on the 42-yard line, trailing by 14. Sumrall goes into the slot. Play action. Arnaud looking, throwing, pass a little too high. Once again, that pocket was just collapsing around him. It was intended for Houston Jones.
Sue there getting a good job of getting pressure up in his face, and Arnaud that was one of those throws that scares you as a coach, because he threw it into coverage and he couldn't see his receiver.
Yeah. 2nd down and 10. This is a time that Iowa State's got to take advantage. Sumrall looks for a block, only gets 1, picks up 4 on the play. Sumrall with 6 receptions on the afternoon. That'll still set up a 2nd down and about 7.
Well, you on 3rd down, on 1st down, you got that incomplete. You come back, you get 4. I don't mind that. They're a little conservative. That's okay.
And that's the way the 3rd quarter is going to end. So Iowa State opens up the 3rd with a long touchdown run, cutting the lead to 14 as we head to the final stanza. They have the football, and they are marching.
College Football on Versus is brought to you by Under Armour Performance Trainers, the first pure performance training footwear at the Sports Authority.
Cyclone fans have something to cheer about, but Iowa State has forced 3 fumbles this afternoon and recovered them, but no points off those fumbles yet. They've got to take advantage of this now.
They absolutely do. The defense gets frustrated. They keep giving up lunch on a plate to the offense, and offense is not eating.
On 3rd down and 6, Arnaud floats the pass. It's caught inside the 35-yard line to the 34-yard line. It'll be short of the 1st down. Darius Darks, his 1st reception of the afternoon, the true freshman out of Conley High School in Austin, Texas. Actually, it's going to be a 4th down and 2, and I think Gene Chiswick's going to go for it.
Yeah, well, you're at that weird spot.
You're
sitting at the 34. You know, you're talking about a 51-yarder, and your punter, with the wind, would smack it right through the end zone. So, kind of need to.
3 wide receivers to the right side. Man goes in motion. On 4th down, Arnaud looking, tucks it, reaches, got the 1st down to the 31-yard line.
Well, there's that decisiveness we talked about. If it's not there, take it and go. You're not a guy that's going to make that throw on the run, so take it and go. And that's exactly what he needed to do. Gets the 1st. You know, he's looking downfield. He's looking at different targets, looks through progression. Now he knows, I need 1 yard. Let me get out of here.
And a fresh set of downs for the Cyclones. J.J. Bass checked into the backfield. Straight drop, plenty of time. Arnaud looking for 6. Pass almost intercepted. Darks was the intended receiver. Larry Asante, the strong safety, had it in his hands.
That would be an ill-advised throw. Double coverage, underneath and over the top. No matter where you put that ball, he looked at his receiver the entire way, puts it there, and look at, there's nowhere to put that ball that it's not going to be. Yeah. Your offensive player would have had to make the best defensive play in the world to make the catch.
And now that sets up a 2nd down and 10. He checks over to the sideline for the play. Left side, getting a block. inside the 25, down to the 20-yard line. J.J. Bass, best run of the afternoon for him.
Yeah, he's running right behind Alex Alvarez there. And big Alex Alvarez getting out, moving and running and pulling from the center spot. That's pretty tough to do, let me tell you.
He did a nice job, too, because he was moving every bit of that 291 pounds Alvarez was out of League City, Texas. Clear Lake High School. That was good enough for a first down. Boy, if Iowa State can punch it in here, 7-point game with a lot of time left. The option. Arnaud, they read it well. Nice job, Tyler Wortman, the senior out of Grand Island, Nebraska. This is a young man that had an outstanding spring, really broke out. He's a smart young man, majoring in engineering, nearly a 4.0 GPA. And unfortunately, he hasn't played the first 3 games a whole lot because they kept taking him out during the nickel package. So he didn't get a lot of reps.
Yeah, and he did a great job there. When you play the option, you have to play it on the midline so that you can defend the pitch, but yet still come back and make the tackle. Did a great job of that.
Sets up a 2nd and long. It's 8 to go for the first.
I was nearly a 4.0 as well. Well, I mean, I was nearly a 3. But
well, that was nearly a 10 on that play because J.J. Bass was stood up by Ndamukong Suh.
Once again, offensive line, you're getting penetration underneath. Ndamukong Suh comes right between the right guard and the center. Center doesn't step front gap. Right guard does. That leaves a huge hole. Ndamukong Suh, you know, you'd love to say great defensive play, but he's not being blocked. So he makes the play he should make right there.
And now it's 3rd down and 13. Iowa State only 2 of 10 on 3rd down this afternoon. Arnaud pump fakes, looks, goes deep, has to turn his wide receiver Marquise Hamilton around. Hamilton just could not get the big body going.
Well, here's what Iowa does. You know, they look up. Everybody that can take a hand up off the ground does. Pre-snap, they get the play in. They turn, come back. The call is made, and that's where they go. It's an interesting way of doing it. A lot more teams in the league are doing this, and what it does is it allows the coordinators, it allows the people on the sidelines to see the defense that's being positioned in front of them, and then make a call off of it.
Grant Mahoney's line drive kick is no good. He was 10 of 14. He was #1 in the Big 12 in field goals, but he never got underneath that football. And that hurts Iowa State. The snap was good, the hold was good, but the kick wasn't. Iowa State trails by 14. Of the 3rd fumble lost by Nebraska, they turned the ball over after a missed field goal. 12:04 left to play in the ball game, and Nebraska still leads it 21-14. And they've got time on their sides, and they also got running. Quentin Castile breaks through into the secondary. Prior to that rush, Castile had only 15 yards rushing. That one goes for 19.
Well, what it's a one stake called tent stake in your leg. He just makes one cut, gets through the hole, and then he's setting up his cuts from there. And that, you know, nice run stop.
Yeah, it's the best he's looked. And another first down for the Huskers. 22 first downs for Nebraska, 11 for Iowa State. This time a short pickup. About 2 on the play. Josh Raven coming up, the senior out of Fort Myers, Florida, from that strong side linebacker spot. He's a former starter for this defense. And that brings up a 2nd down and 8. But you have to look, this has been a tale of 2 halves, I think, for Iowa State. The second half much better, both offensively and defensively, but you get that golden opportunity handed to you. The defense has to come up with another play. Hopefully the offense can take advantage of this one.
Yeah, it's got to get disheartening for your defense, too, after a while. You're stopping a team that was cutting you apart in the first half.
Bernard Banks does a nice job of making that play. The cornerback, Menelik Cole, had it, and it looked like Banks was going to be held up. Banks playing with a soft cast on his wrist, got hurt in the first game of the year. Came back last week. You can see the big cast on that right arm, and I asked him yesterday if it bothers him. He said no. But he made a nice play just shedding the block to make the tackle. 3rd down and 6.
3rd down and 6 right at midfield. You know, you hate to say pivotal yet again, but here it is.
Iowa State moving around on defense. They continue to move. Here comes the blitz right up the middle. Gans throws incomplete. Nice pressure put on by Jesse Smith. He has had an outstanding game. I think he's got a fan in you right now.
Well, you know, you're absolutely right. We talked about him being active, being smart, being an emotional leader. Here he is. You need a play, he makes a play for you. Now, is it an interception? Is it a fumble? Is it a sack? No, but it's just as good. It stops him on downs, forces him a punt. Here's a guy with an interception, a fumble recovery. He's active, he's smart, he's making plays.
8 tackles, couple tackles for a loss. The fumble recovery. Candidate for Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Punt into the wind is a low line drive kick taken at the 23-yard line. The ball, boy, I tell you what, he fumbled it and Nebraska did get it. Devin McDowell had the football and had it pop out of his hands, and the Huskers were right there.
He did something so smart. He went upfield vertical. Then he did something so stupid. He turned his back to defenders. You never do this. You never try to spin and turn. You're heading north and south. Now he'll try to spin and turns right into the hit.
Oh, brother.
You know, that's where you just need to be smart and take the yards you've been given. A punt return of anything more than 2 or 3 yards is a bonus. It's a great job. You've got a good one already. Take what you've been given. Don't try to make too much of it.
First turnover, fumbling a football today for Iowa State. Now Nebraska going to try to take advantage of it on the ground. Not much of a gain for Marlon Lucky. Boy, you know, it's just your margin of error is so slim. And this is something Gene Chizik talked about with us yesterday. It's so slim. You can't make these, you know, boneheaded plays. You've got to play smart football. If you have the opportunity, you're getting the ball back, you'll have decent field position, and boom.
The better you get physically and athletically, the dumber you can play.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just
right.
the rule.
No, that's good. No, you're right.
And when you're not there yet, you have to be very, very smart football players.
We saw Gene Chizik talking to Jay Bull there. He's the special teams coach. He's done a good job. Pass is complete to McNeil. He's got the first down inside the 25-yard line down to the 23-yard line. The Bo Pelini's squad is on the move. You can see what they've done the last couple of games. Only 1 fumble recovery. They didn't have any turnovers forced the last 3 games. They've got a couple today.
Going back to Jay Bulwer, special teams coach at Iowa State, doing a great job so far with his group.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you lay the ball down simply because you're trying to do too much.
Both telling us that not forcing turnovers the last 3 games jabs at them. I can imagine Lucky right up the middle. Inside the 15 down to the 14-yard line before Curtis Taylor makes his 4th stop of the afternoon. Let's go down to Lindsay Soto. Lindsay.
Yeah, talking about how much Bo Pelini doesn't like it when the team doesn't play aggressive defense. You know, he's a coach that really prides himself on that. Last time he was here in 2003. In an attempt to get the team this week, the coaches taking the ball away, went through the instances when somebody had an opportunity. What they should have done differently, they said that they were already that translate to the game today.
Lucky, the runner. There's a flag in the play.
Face mask by number 56 for the defense. Penalties half the distance to the goal.
Well, just when you think Nebraska makes a nice play, they get the penalty, or Iowa State makes a nice play, they get the penalty. And it'll be half the distance to the goal line.
Well, you'd certainly like to see Iowa State step up, bow up, and hold them to 3 here.
Tough situation for Iowa State's defense. They show blitz. Gans looks. The fade into the end zone. Incomplete. The pass was there. It looked like a good pass intended for Mendenhall Colt. Leonard Johnson, the true freshman, who's had a pretty good game so far on the coverage.
Yeah, and he's on that coverage there. And the thing is, he doesn't look back to the ball, but because he doesn't interfere, you know, it's not. He's just playing in the middle. He doesn't face guard. He doesn't, but he doesn't interfere as well. I know a lot of fans will say, well, that should have been interference because he doesn't look back. Well, you don't have to look back if you're not making a play.
That's right. Second down and goal from the 3-yard line. Nebraska leading 21-7, 7:28 to play in the ball game. Gans, quick, look, fade, pass. Pass interference is going to be called. Kennard Banks was on the coverage. Todd Peterson, the intended receiver, and he just dragged him down.
Pass interference by number 7 of the defense. By rule, the ball is placed at the 2-yard line, and it's first down.
Well, you lose a down and you lose a yard and a half in that situation. It was second down from about the 3.5, so it'll be first down from the 2. So it's not too bad.
You know, Kennard Banks, that's his second penalty in as many games he's been back into the lineup.
Yeah, he had his left hand right in the V of the neck, and that's what yanked him down. You're not allowed to do that.
No, and it's pretty obvious when you're right in front of 2 officials. Now Iowa State moving around on defense. First and goal for the Huskers. Gans on the quarterback keeper, straight ahead. No signal from the officials. No, now it is. They're saying he's short.
Well, what they're saying too, Iowa State's saying, wait a minute, he tried to extend the ball over, and we knocked it out and got it. But it's always interesting in these situations because a lot of times they'll give that as a touchdown when he does it, but if it gets knocked out, they'll say he was down.
That's right. Curtis Taylor thought he had the football, but the officials are going to mark it just inside the 1-yard line. Nebraska trying to put it away. Look at it again.
A pretty decent push, but he gets stymied. Now watch. He'll put that ball up. No whistle. And there it gets taken out. So
Banks is the one looks like he hit it. But they try it again on the goal line, and there's a touchdown signal. Now the second time was the charm. Great push by that offensive line of Nebraska.
Well, you got a lot of weight in there, a lot of big guys, a lot of wide old butt behinds. You know, Hickman and Slauson and Murtha and Huff. You're talking about 300 pounds across the board. That's a lot of nylon pushing.
That is huge. And the extra point to give them a 21-point advantage. Nope, penalty flags are thrown. We'll have to do it again. Well, it's been a good third and most of the fourth quarter for Iowa State, but they just could not capitalize on a turnover that they caused.
Snap, a false start by number 78 of the offense. The penalty's 5 yards on the try.
And Marcel Jones is whistled for the infraction, the redshirt freshman out of Phoenix. They got high hopes for that young man, by the way.
Yeah, you see that poor guy? Hasn't seen the field much. He's been he's a backup right now. Comes in on special teams, gets a penalty, and we got to call the big fella out.
There you go.
That's a bit unfair.
On the 15-yard line, 25-yard extra point. Not a problem. Straight down the upright for Alex Henry. He is perfect on PATs this year. We're going to take a break. 6:35 left to play in the ball game. Nebraska has regained the advantage by 21. Nebraska's had a lot of success in the red zone this year. 87%, 22 of the 26 times they've scored in the red zone have been touchdowns. That's an outstanding percentage. And that's why they lead at 6:35 as the crowd of well over 45,000 start to head to the gates here. Joe Gans, what an afternoon for him. 27 of 37, 328 yards. And, you know, throws for a touchdown. He runs for a touchdown. Not all he needs to do now is catch a touchdown like he did earlier this season, and he completes the trifecta.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, they got a running game fairly effective. Marlon Lucky with 74 yards, Steele getting there. And then, you know, all the different receivers. Great job of guys stepping up and becoming that player that they asked them to become.
And we talked about at the top of the show about this being a crossroads game. Nebraska may have taken the right fork. Right now they lead it 28-7. Statue of Jack Trice. The stadium is named after Jack Trice. We'll have more on that in just a couple of minutes. And inside, it was a good crowd, a beautiful day, and it started out all Nebraska, especially in the first 30 minutes of play. They went over 200 yards. Second half, Iowa State's played a lot better, but they still find themselves on the short end of the stick, 28-7, 6:31 to play in the ball game. Iowa State trying to get something going. Arnott hit as he throws, and it's going to be incomplete. That's kind of been the story of the whole afternoon. Ty Steinkühler is the one who lowered the boom on him.
Well, you've got to protect your quarterback, especially if you only have one. And while it hasn't been a particularly violent day for Austin Arnott, he's been affected enough on his throws that he's been ineffective throwing the ball.
And that sets up a 2nd down and 10. Just over 100 yards passing for Austin Arnott today. And he's not going to get the play off. It's going to be a delay of game against Iowa State. That's their 5th penalty of the afternoon.
Delay of game by number 4 of the offense. Penalty's 5 yards, and it's still 2nd down.
Well, we mentioned Jack Trice. With more on that, here's Lindsay Soto. Lindsay.
Well, Ron, long before Jackie Robinson was breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball and Jesse Owens was turning Adolf Hitler's Aryan Olympics upside down, Jack Trice was the man breaking ground here at Iowa State University. He was the first African-American athlete at the university, a football player in the 20s that tragically died after one of his first games with the Cyclones. Essentially got hurt pretty badly in the first half, but he wouldn't come out of the game because he knew that that would only provide ammunition for those people that didn't think he should be in the game because he was black. Well, unfortunately, he stayed in too long, made his injuries a lot worse, ultimately ended up dying a few days later. Over 4,000 people attended his funeral, and a few years ago, the school named this stadium after him. It is still the only Division I stadium named after an African-American.
And he was somebody that had to withstand so much as far as teams not wanting to play Iowa State because they had an African-American on the team, not staying at the same hotel. His story is an incredible one. Pass is complete to Houston Jones up to the 30-yard line. But it'll bring up a 4th down and 10, and Iowa State's going to be forced to kick it away. Nate Swift goes back to his own 30-yard line. Mike Brantner's had a pretty decent day kicking the football. This is his 8th punt, averaged over 41 yards a kick. And he slips as he goes down. No penalty flag, and this is going to go into the end zone. Fans wanted a penalty, not going to get it. And Nebraska will take over the final 5:48. They lead it by a bunch. .48 left to play in the ball game. 28-7. The Huskers lead the Cyclones. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Versus is stirring up the soup with the new original series Sports Soup, hosted by comedian Matt Eisman. Featuring the week's best highlights, lowlights, and everything in between. We're covering the coverage with a hilarious show that sports writes. Sports Soup, all new every Tuesday and Thursday at 10, right here on Versus. And of course, that is Glenn Parker's car waiting for him.
Don't
you wish? Nebraska on the ground. Hello, nice job. Has some green in front of him. Gets away from one tackle, still on his feet as he gets inside the 30-yard line. A pickup of 50 for Roy Hello, his longest rush of the year.
Well, what happens, Iowa State getting desperate to make plays, maybe over pursue. Great job of blocking up front. It's one good cut off of the backside. He gets away from Travis Ferguson, and when he does that, he's into the second level, picks up some nice blocks from some of his wide receivers, and he's running.
503 yards total offense now for this Nebraska Cornhusker team. Iowa State just over 200. Chris Brooks now in at wide receiver. Hand off, not much running room for Roy Hello. Just a reminder, we're going to have more scores and highlights coming all day long right here on Versus on College Football Central, right here on Versus. See the scores on the bottom of your screen. Ted Robinson standing by to keep you updated on all of what's happening in college football. Utah, of course, over Colorado State. USC Washington State coming up in a little bit. Pick up a 4 on the play, 2nd down and 6. And still in at quarterback. To give to Helu again, close to the 20-yard line. It'll be about a yard short of the 1st down.
Nebraska content now. Once they bust it out there, they're content. Run the ball, be very conservative, keep the ball between the hashes if you can. Pound and eat ground and eat up clock. Speed the game up a little now so that you can run timeout.
And that's what they want to do, because Nebraska, I think Bo Pelini's getting what he wanted out of his team after that disappointing loss. You know, they talked about losing to Missouri 52-17, but they said this was crushing, the overtime loss to Texas Tech. Now they got to go home against Baylor next week. By the way, you'll be able to see it right here on Versus. And Baylor is now leading Oklahoma State early in that ball game.
Well, Baylor's got a very good offense. They're really comfortable running the spread.
Well, I tell you, Art Briles is going to do an outstanding job as we got a little extracurricular activity for Baylor. We've got a penalty flag finally thrown, but Bo Pelini knows that you cannot take Baylor lightly, because Robert Griffin, their quarterback, is one of the most exciting freshmen around. Then November 1st, you've got what everybody used to call one of the great games in college football, Oklahoma and Nebraska in Norman. Joe Castiglione, the AD at Oklahoma, doing a nice job. They're bringing in everybody from the 1971 game, which, of course, was considered the game of the century, that Johnny Rodgers had the great punt return on. Joe Wiley was clipped, by the way, on that play.
You know, you
like
never forget. You never forget.
No.
I know. I follow the NHL a bit, and I still say no goal every time I think of the Stars and the Sabres. It's no goal. The skate was in the crease.
There you go.
I know where you're coming from.
And that penalty, though, pushes the ball back to the 32-yard line. The final 3:22 of this game. Ohio State's also going to have to regroup. Helu on the ground inside the 30-yard line. And it gets tough for Gene Chizik. That's why he put so much importance on this game. He said, listen, this is a crossroad. We've got to keep this team together. Now, they get to host Texas A&M on the 25th, and then the schedule gets tough. At Oklahoma State, at Colorado, tough place to win. Home Missouri, and then at Kansas State to wrap up the season. So you try to find where you're going to get those wins for a possible bowl, and that's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it is, and that's one of the things coaches don't like to talk the kids about is, oh, there's a game here and a game there where we can win. No, you got to try to win them all, because there's no, when you play in conference, there's no such thing as a game you're going to win.
Oh, Quentin Castile just shows some power. Gets inside the 20-yard line down to the 19. That'll be a 1st down for Nebraska. James Smith made the tackle, but boy, he paid for it. Castile's a big guy. It's 6'1", 235. Watch this.
Yeah, he's going to lower the boom here. Runs through one and then decides, yeah, you better get some more beans in your pocket. You're going to come up against him like that.
And Smith was knocked out in the Kansas game and had to go sit out. And he gets kind of dinged up there. He's got 10 tackles today, or 11 tackles today, including a tackle for a loss.
Well, he might right now be wondering why no one's answering the phone.
That's right. Over the right side, and Nebraska will tack on one more from Quentin Castile. 19-yard touchdown run for Castile, his 3rd touchdown run of the year.
You saw it in that drive, just physical play coming out from Nebraska. Obviously, Iowa State a little let down after not being able to score and then giving up one. Well, this is where that comes in. If you're not emotional and you're playing a good physical team like Nebraska, that's why you get runs like that. Another pretty easy touchdown for the Huskers.
And just to tack on the extra point, the formality is good.
Take another look at this touchdown. Gotta like Castile's running style. His hips are low. He's driving those legs. We always saw him maybe at the last run where he ran someone over. Nobody wanted to take him on. They saw what happened. He goes right through untouched. Great blocking by the Huskers. And a very good drive by the Huskers yet again.
Well, so far this is their 2nd best offensive performance of the year. They had 553 yards versus New Mexico State. Nebraska at 548 right now. One of their best defensive performances. They've held Iowa State to 214. I think when they look at it, too, at the numbers, you had 41 rushes as opposed to 27 passes for Nebraska. Sean Watson telling us on Wednesday, we want to run the football more. We've been working on it. It's still evolving. And, you know, you don't want to say that it's completely back today, but about 5 yards a carry is not too shabby.
No, it's not shabby at all. I mean, first off, you're talking about the fact that they had the controlled passing game, and then they threw in some option, and they threw in a little misdirection, and they were physical up front as well. So, you know, everybody helped, everybody did their job, and they stuck with their game plan. Even when things didn't go quite right, they stuck with the game plan, and were able to, you know, eke one out.
And Iowa State will get the ball back at least one more time this afternoon. From the 12-yard line. Leonard Johnson, penalty flag is thrown. He tries to stay on his feet up over the 25 to the 26-yard line. But we do have a flag on the play. Iowa State with
an illegal block in the back by number 3 of the receiving team. The penalty is 10 yards, and it's first down.
6th penalty for Iowa State. Well, the Big 12, and we're getting into the meat of the season. Texas obviously has an incredible schedule coming up. You know, they had the big win over Oklahoma, but, you know, you look what's left as far as the teams in the top 25. First Harris Bowl, or the first BCS Bowl coming out tomorrow. And, you know, it's just going to be interesting because Oklahoma's got their hands full with Kansas, too, today.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, you're absolutely right. Well, Oklahoma with Kansas, Oklahoma State struggling with Baylor right now. It doesn't get easier. So many people think that if you lose within conference, it shows how weak the conference is. To me, it shows you how strong it is.
I agree with you.
I mean, if Mississippi can go to Gainesville and beat a Florida, and USC can go to an Oregon State and lose, shows you the strength of the conference, not the weakness.
I agree. And this, you know, it's funny because we were kidding Gene Chizik yesterday. We said, yeah, well, look at the schedule the rest of the way. And I said, you know, it used to be that you get that 1 or 2 guys you can play against that you say, oh, wow, we could take a little breath here. Not in the Big 12, considering the quarterbacks, the best top to bottom quarterback country and conference in the country.
Yeah, so many quarterbacks running so many good offenses that are efficient and speedy and fast and able to put up a lot of points in a hurry. And so there is no breather. Even when you say, like, playing in Iowa State, they've taken people to the limit. Playing at Baylor, they take people to the limit. Here we have the USA Today top 25, and that's as of October 12th. Texas, Big 12 right there. Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, all in the top 10 there. Penn State showed a lot more speed than many people gave them credit for.
They're one of the most complete teams in college football, offensively and defensively, I think, so far. On 3rd down and 7, final 30 seconds of the ball game, and that's probably going to be it. Don't have to run another play. And Bo Pelini's going to pick up another victory. His team will go to 4-3 on the year. They get their first conference win, and they avoid a 4-game losing skid. Iowa State, though, their losing streak continues 5 in a row after winning their first 2. And Gene Chizik, who's going to do a good job here, just having some problems right now. They've hit some bumps in the road. 2 defensive coaches shaking hands at midfield. But Bo Pelini's squad picks up the win, a much needed win after what happened last week at Texas Tech, the overtime loss, and it'll go in the books as 35-7. The Huskers over Iowa State.
A good job by Nebraska sticking to their guns, using a complete offense, control passing game, run when you have to, run with power, taking a shot here or there, and then defense stepping up, and no matter how many turnovers you had as an offense, stopping that Iowa State offense.
Now, the only bad part for Nebraska, they fumbled the ball 5 times, they lost 3, but they still were able to put 548 on the board offensively. And down with the coach, here's Lindsay Soto. Lindsay.
Coach, you said last week, after last week's game, that there were no moral victories, but you also said that your team seemed more confident after last week's game. How important do you think that confidence was in today's game?
Well, I think it's important anytime you go on the road. And we were still a little sloppy, especially in the second half, and we got to take care of the turnovers. Things that have been hurting us in other games. But overall, our execution was better, and I just think we're getting better as a football team. The attitude's good, and if we continue that way, I think we'll like the way we finish the season.
How much better do you think you can get this year?
A lot. That's the thing that's great, and I think our players recognize that there's so much more out there for us, that every single day is important. Every time you walk on the field, there's an opportunity to get better, and we have a long way to go.
Well, you certainly have a lot of help here with your quarterback. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
He's a good man.
Want to bring in Joe Gantz, who had a big day today, 27 for 37, over 300 yards passing. Offensively, you guys have a lot of weapons, but a lot more balance today than we've seen out of you guys in the past. How important is that for you moving forward?
Yeah, it's very important, especially on the road. We have to come in and control the clock and be able to run the ball. And we did that early, and it opened up, it opened up a lot in the passing game. They decided to go to man-to-man so they can, get more guys in the box to try and stop the run, which helped our passing game out a lot. So, it's a credit to the offensive line and backs. They ran hard all day.
You guys played very well in a loss last week against a very good team. Have a big win today. Do you feel like you've turned a corner?
I hope so. I think we're getting there. It's still a process, but I think we're getting there. We're working hard. We're understanding what it takes to win in the Big 12 now. Guys are coming to practice every day. They're preparing. They're working really hard, and it's showing on Saturdays.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Can I say one more thing? Congratulations to my sister. She just had a baby.
Oh, that's big news. Congratulations. Breaking news here on Versus, Ron.
He does it all. He runs, he throws, and he congratulates his sister. Once again, the final score, Nebraska wins it 35-7. Stay tuned for more college football tonight on Versus. 6:30, Oregon State takes on Washington. Now let's send it to the College Football Central studios on Versus.